keeping it fun. Got the.
If it's not fun, you shouldn't be doing it.
That's right.
There's gotta be something you like about it.
Yeah.
For it to be worth your time. Would you like some bourbon?
Oh man, if you have a little bit of that.
I got a little bit.
That
Check out this Slim Jim Macho Man Randy Savage thing my brother got me. It's right there on that little space heater.
hell yeah. Slim Jim. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's sick. Beautiful. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers to 2026.
2026, yeah. We'll talk about it.
100%, man. There's so much.
I got some good stuff teed up. Got some good videos.
Love it. Definitely love it. Tour the gamut.
Yep. I'm gonna hit this. Let's get started.
All right, let's hit it.
We're screaming about it.
Hell yeah. Kinda, yeah. Trying to piece the lyrics.
Dirty Diana by Michael Jackson.
Okay, yeah. I've got one like this in this style that I put Prince.
Oh yeah, there's a couple good ones floating around I've come across as well. I mean, it's just crazy that I don't know how these things are made. I'd love to know. Let me switch over to the internal.
But I hate sleeping alone. Why don't you come with me? I said my baby's at home.
Of course, I'm partial to. Let me get a sound check. I'm partial to this one.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, one moment. Would you capture it or just let it slip? Oh, yeah. His palms are sweaty, his weak arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweaty already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking. How everybody's joking now. The clock's run out, time's up, overblow. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity choke.
Kind of prefer this setting.
But he won't give up that easy, no. He won't have it, he knows his whole back's to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope, he knows that. But he's broke, he's so stacked that he knows when he goes back to his mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This whole rap shit, you better go capture this moment and hope it don't pass him. You better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, yo. Yourself in music the moment you own it. You better never let it go, you only.
Nice.
You're listening to the Zetetic Newscast on the Zetetic News Network. with your hosts, Dave, and Xavier Diamant. Proceed by inquiry.
Talk a little bit about weather warfare today. All right, welcome to episode 55 of the Zetetic Newscast. We are your hosts, myself, Dave, and
Xavier Diamant.
It's January 2nd, 2026, the first episode of 2026. Thank you guys for joining us. We have an amazing show planned for you guys today, and I really don't know where to start. I mean, I think traditionally on our first episode we do a bit of a 2025 recap, look at some of the standout events of the past year, and then a lot of prognostication around what we see happening potentially in the future. But in our last episode, we opened the show with a great up-and-coming AI video creator, Jake GTV, who's putting together these amazing AI-generated news report like syntheses of the public skepticism around current events. And you know, on one hand, I don't know where to start, but you know, a good place to start, I thought, would be what everybody is talking about right now, and that's of course the quote-unquote Minnesota Somali fraud. I put it in quotes because, you know, it's clearly much bigger than that, but that's really going viral right now. And I'm just going to play this clip right here to kind of open up the conversation.
TV news. Have you heard of the Somalians in our country?
Yeah, but I'm more so worried about the Jews.
Straight up, but check this out. Ching Chong, break it down for us.
Chloe and Michael, good morning. We're here at the Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good, where $4 million of hard-earned taxpayer dollars are going to Somalian immigrants who say, "I'm the captain now."
This is our country, go away!
But it looks like our investigation team at Jake GTV News has hacked into the cameras. Let's see what they've uncovered.
We've snuck in to finally see where your taxpayer dollars disappear. If I don't make it out, blame Israel.
It feels good to be a refugee.
Safe to say the great replacement has begun. Back to you.
Thanks, Ching Chong. Perfect distraction from the redacted Epstein files and Israel for the week. Am I right?
Straight up. And according to the reports, the Jewish Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, along with a few fake Christian organizations, are getting paid about $3,000 per refugee.
What?
Shut it down! The Goyim are starting to say America first, and it's bullshit! Trump is making America great again! Don't you dare mention Zionism or I'll fire you, Jason!
Calm down, Producer Berg. Jeez. So yeah, blame the left. They're like really ugly.
What do you want, white racist?
See what I'm saying? Trumpstein, take it away.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks.
Gosh, I freaking love Israel. This is why we voted for him.
It's literally the left that's the problem. Don't notice the genocide in Gaza.
Facts. Let's hear from the people who haven't started noticing yet.
Isn't Trumpstein great? He's literally saving this country and can do nothing wrong. What about the Epstein files? Democrat hoax. What are you, a lefty? Exactly. Let's hear Tampon Tim's response.
Donald Trump's calling our Somali neighbors garbage and the state of Minnesota a hellhole. We've got little children going to school today who their president called them garbage.
Wow, such a noble governor of Minnesota. Imagine him and Camel Toe won. We'd finally have tampons in the men's bathroom.
Wouldn't that have been great?
Would have been amazing.
Are you a woman trapped in a man's body, or worse, a man trapped in a woman? I deserve to be in your middle school reading books to kids.
Sponsored by the Jews at BlackRock.
Because we're chosen.
What the heck was that?
Honestly, everything looks AI nowadays. I have no idea.
Anyway, the FBI and Kash Patel have done nothing.
Right, like, just arrest someone already. Yeah, like anyone at this point.
It took a YouTuber to uncover this whole $9 billion Somalian fraud.
Yep. Nick Shirley, take it away.
$1.9 million going illegally
fraudulently to this business that has quality learning center but can't even spell learning right on the door.
Don't open up!
Ma'am, we are not ICE. They've received over $1.9 million this year alone, and they're supposed to have 99 children here.
I don't see it.
Have you ever seen any children here?
None, not at all.
Thanks, Nick, but let's ask a libtard. My pronouns are he, him, and the problem is the racists who don't let foreign countries invade our homes. Flood the open borders now. Absolute dumbass. Anyways, while all our taxpayer dollars are sent to Israel, let's hear Trumpstein blame the lefties.
Waltz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him, okay? There's something wrong with him.
Well put, Trumpstein. Federal prosecutors found a Minnesota Medicaid fraud that's paid out at least $9 billion since 2018. An actual drop in the bucket to the $50 billion we sent to destroy the Sand People.
Shut it down! We're only running this segment so you stop asking questions about the Epstein files in Israel. Trump is making America great again!
Speaking of Israel, did you see them at their right to protest?
Oh yeah, this one's my favorite video to show the normies. It just shoves them straight down the rabbit hole. There's no recovering from this one.
Real. Check this out.
So here we can see the documented gang rape of a Palestinian prisoner by 5 men. The sickest part about this isn't the fact they did this, but the fact they decided to protest for the right to rape, and no one ended up prosecuted at all. With 65% of Israelis saying that this should be allowed. These men were later praised on television, while the woman who put the video out was sued. We should really check on her.
Shut it down, Ching Chong! She's ending up like Jackie, and that's where you're heading next with your antiseptic little mouth. I've been in the market for a new lampshade. You're this close.
Hell yeah, Producer Berg. Show them who their owners are.
I'll literally get on my knees for a raise.
That's a good goy, and we love to see you degrading your morals.
Good point, Daisy. Jennifer joins us live from Little St. James to remind us Epstein worked alone and had no accomplices or victims.
Please don't. Thanks, Succubus, but we know you've been blackmailing our FBI since the Prohibition era. Let's do a little tour of your people's island since the latest photos leak. Come with me. Here's some rich people art. Whew, looks pretty weird. So let's keep moving through. Wait till you see his dentistry room. Wonder what you creeps were doing out here, just doing some dental work for minors out here, right? Look at the nose on this mask. Satan's literal chosen little people for sure.
Wow, it's getting hard not to notice at this point.
Yeah, it's almost like they worship Satan.
Yeah. Didn't Charlie try to warn us about this guy?
Yep.
Roll the clip.
Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics.
Gosh, he was so based.
Yeah, straight up. But this is what happens when you take donor money and go a little off script.
Right. Back to you, Jennifer.
As we move into the living area, we can tell this was no genius, but a man who was entrusted with Les Wexner's fortune. He didn't even graduate from college. Let's check out what's written on this chalkboard. Here we can see Epstein's brilliance, or lack thereof. So we got power here, deception, and plants.
Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer.
That's right, Charlie, and he basically owned the Justice Department as an untouchable. He'd bring minors to Trumpstein's resort, the Mar-a-Lago. At this point, they're all implicated. Facts. Reports say he was allowed to leave this jail for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, chauffeured by a private driver to his own high-rise office in West Palm Beach. If this were any other perverts, they'd be getting bent over in prison while they rot away in a jail cell. Is it a coincidence that Israelis are the only ones who can flee from prosecution and not be extradited? Shapiro-Stein, take it away.
Of course it's a coincidence. Just because you notice we run the largest blackmail and trafficking rings like Epstein doesn't mean you're right. After all, we're chosen. Don't forget that. Run the commercials.
Antisepticism is on the rise.
We didn't do it.
Joes need a place to hide from the hate.
It wasn't me. It's time to flee to Israel. BlackRock.
Because we're chosen.
So, do you think Trumpstein was in the files?
If he was, the Democrats would have used it against him. Blame the Sand People.
All right, bro. We go to live to the investigators at Jake GTV for more. Thanks, Jeff. So it's not all of them, but it's always them. Jews, Muslims, and Christians have been living together for centuries before the Talmudic Satan worshippers infiltrated their culture.
The problem is when you try to play the victim of terrorism when you yourself are the terrorists. Am I right?
I know that's you, Tucker. Just because you antiseptic grifters are noticing doesn't mean we can't control his wife and take over his company. Don't notice what she did in Romania or where her kid's at. Play the sympathy card.
Okay, let's roll this.
Our goal with the Romanian Angels Project was to show these children the true American heart during the holiday season.
This is the weird part.
And what better way to do that than having our United States military personally deliver the gifts?
So the guy she named as Colonel Busher was caught running a brothel where U.S. Marines were orphan minors, and we have the affidavit form for proof.
All right, Ching Chong, but wasn't that just a philanthropy thing for her pageant?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty normal for pageant work. There's no way she was involved in anything beyond charity, right?
No, bro. This was years prior. What 17-year-old starts a 501c3 corporation? Probably has nothing to do with her mom's work at Homeland Security developing EMP and drone technology.
Nice.
Shut it down, Ching Chong. We ended up giving the sand person in Bondi Beach a gift after he stopped the shooter. Air that. We're your greatest ally.
Jeez. All right, we'll show the dollar you gave.
Rabbi Mendel Castell gave Ahmed a symbolic dollar note he's had since 1988.
Today, I wanted to share that with Ahmed. I don't know where my family would be if not for him, and that's why I say thank you to him.
The visitor said Ahmed is recovering well at St. George Hospital.
Looks like he'll be seeing you for that $2 you owe him next time you see him. You can't make this shit up.
Goyslop Jr., because you're not even chosen.
Goyslop Jr.
Fake burgers, fake oils, fake joy.
That's antiseptic, and I freaking love it. Anyway, if you're still not following Jake GTV, you're either triple boosted or just genuinely retarded.
It's honestly amazing the scope of that one creation. He does these periodically, and it's like it ties together so many current events and the undercurrent of commentary that is populating, the various social media platforms around these events. And I think the encouraging thing is people are increasingly skeptical overall. What's irritating to me, though, is a lot of the crowds who are, for example, protesting for Palestine, lobbying for the Epstein files to be released, criticizing, the relationship with Israel, telling me about geoengineering and weather modification. These are people who denied the existence of these subjects or these angles, and really derided people who were asking questions about it for many, many years. And now all of a sudden they want to inform you or inform me about what we should be questioning. And it's like, can I get a little acknowledgement that, like, we've been talking about Epstein for a long time, and now all of a sudden Trump is implicated. I mean, he always was, but he wasn't in office during, the bulk of the time post indictment of Epstein. If you talked about weather modification, for the last 15 years, it was denied as a subject matter. If you, question the official narrative of the FBI, well, you're just kind of a Looney Tune conspiracy theorist. And I love the fact that we have more and more numbers on the list of conspiracy theorists, so to speak. But like, there's a schism within that group now of those who have been at this game for a while and those who are very new to this game. And that irritates me, bigly, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's they're using the same sort of left-right, sort of duopolistic, schizophrenic dialectic within even dissident and skeptical and cynical groups that are trying to point out reasons to distrust the establishment. But that creates this kind of pigeonholing effect where you've got folks that are maybe a little bit more up and savvy about the sort of zyotechnocracy and how it's influenced from behind the scenes, all sorts of conservative influencers and whatnot. But then and then the conservative side, quote unquote, will be kind of like trying to defend, the current administration and the sort of aims and mores that they're trying to emphasize. But it's like passing ships in the night. Like they should be coordinated understandings, because with this stuff with the Minnesota kind of sliver, kind of tip of the iceberg of all the fraud that's been going on, because it's institutionalized systemic moral hazard that's ran the roost now for decades and decades, generations really. And this is just kind of a very flagrant and obviously hot button sort of variant of the type of chicanery and financial skullduggery that's been really par for the course for well over a decade. It really went into hyperdrive after, as we've outlined here, after Clinton, the dot-com bubble and then the 9/11, that sort of cued off this kind of, in my opinion, World War III that was really more of a quiet, incremental new 30 years war that we're now approaching the end of. And as we head into 2026, that's right on 90% of the last 30 years has been this, really accelerated putsch that's taken place within the United States, and it's all interlocking, and that's exactly what they don't want people to connect the dots, and they don't like the solidarity of distinct or perhaps normally oppositional standpoints aligning and actually coordinating around a common understanding that all of this is interlocking. It's all part of a broader effort that's been 100% coordinated, essentially.
And a good example of how we should be looking at it versus, like, to your point about interlocking versus how it's being looked at. Mm-hmm. When I spoke earlier about quote unquote the Minnesota Somali thing, it's just a small fragment, and Nick Shirley and his cohorts, they're doing what they can. It's crazy. They can just kind of scratch the surface, and and it's immense, and it's clear that it's just the tip of the iceberg. But we're seeing the argument framed and crystallized around Somalis and Minnesota. Right. And childcare. Right. And I think there's a hazard in not zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. And what I see, on the left side, they're making a huge error in trying to debunk it.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Trying to debunk it rather than they would actually have more integrity if they would be like.
Yeah, and you see how this connects to what we've been talking about?
Yeah, and also having some nationalistic spirit a little bit. They promote welfare, that philosophically they are in support of taking taxpayer money, pooling it, and then distributing it. Okay, fine if that's your position, but now they're making it like a race issue. This is racist, blah, blah, blah. They'd have more integrity if they would say, this is a misappropriation of funds. These are funds that should be going to disenfranchise, whatever their line, their party line would be. But the those in need, I'll just put that in quotes, those in need who are Americans. Right. But you see the haywiring of their mentality in the sense that, well, they've already bought into the idea of funding illegals. So naturally illegals are going to illegal. They're why would they care about our the rules around daycare licensure and all the codes and the inspection requirements, and why would they not defraud the system? Like, if they're already here illegally, they're predisposed to be illegal, and to behave illegally,
Well, and most of the so-called, progressive sort of socialistic angle is all centers around this idea of no human is illegal. Right. And that's the whole
no borders.
Ethos. Yeah.
No borders.
Yeah. That they don't think that
borders are an offense to their ideology.
Right. That nations in and of themselves are like a pre-civilized concept
obsolete
or something.
notion.
Right. And this is all based on this kind of radical egalitarianism that all humans. This is Franz Boas and the early 20th century anthropology con that was all about the humans we're all kind of we're basically exactly the same. We're just plastic. We're this plastic amorphous kind of golem that can manifest in all these different ways and shapes and forms and colors, but we're like completely interchangeable. It's this idea that there's no striation of significance between any given population. There's no need to delineate unique characteristics or engage in rational discriminatory investigation as to the particularities of any given ethnicity. No, that's all pseudoscience. All that stuff is scientific racism. Right. That and any kind of hereditarian word in edgewise, any technicality on that front is just thrown aside and refused to be entertained.
Okay.
Even though the evidence of these distantiations between the different allele pools or whatever manifesting over different geographies and different times. I mean, technological acumen. Bell curves pertaining to intelligence distributions. I mean, all this stuff is just thrown away, even though the rationality but behind its consideration is really poking its head out a lot now, and being like, are these people really is it really just interchangeability here, or should we maybe have some discussion around protecting certain differences?
Yeah.
Having laws and customs and societies that are designed to, in fact, separate the kind of wheat from the chaff. Is there a rule of law?
This is a really good segue to another key topic that I had on my outline for today's episode. Before I jump into my next point, I do want to announce that this is a call-in show. We have a toll-free line, 217-439-6234, 217-439-6234. It's on screen as well. Call-in participants are eligible to win 444 Tfuel for participating in the Zetetic newscast. We do have a caller in the queue, who I will jump to shortly. But the segue, as you were talking about the hereditary
versus egalitarian
notions, there was another key topic I wanted to touch on in today's, and it's an extension of this haywire effect, where race plays into like almost every single subject that comes into play. Like this Somali Minnesota, that's how it's being framed, as like on the those who are opposed to the expose and attempting to debunk it are boiling it down to, for example, white supremacy.
Sure.
But like the interesting thing is, like, I call them the hypocrites, those who are hypocrites and are comfortable with hypocrisy, their own hypocrisy. They twist themselves into knots all the time with their twisted ideologies around race, etc., etc. And a great kind of showcase, this probably wasn't the biggest event of 2025, but it sticks out in my mind because of recency bias, number one, but number two, it was just like such a head scratching moment for me to understand that this debate was happening, and it's local in nature to an extent. It's the Lumbee Indian tribe federal recognition issue, and it stuck out to me, number one, because I used to work with a person who identified as a Lumbee Indian, and I had no idea about this whole thrust to become federally recognized. But this came to a head earlier today, or not earlier in 2025, because Trump and the administration passed a defense spending bill that also wrote into the terms of federal recognition of the Lumbee Indians. And I just, I hadn't thought about it much. Like, I knew this guy who said he was Lumbee, but I didn't know like what he was politically like striving for or whatnot. But this is a tribe of Native Americans in North Carolina who have a tribal identity as the Lumbees. But they were not federally recognized. So they have been lobbying for a number of years to get this federal recognition, which happened late last year, 2025. And what really, okay, whatever, like, I don't have a dog in that fight. Like, I think the federal recognition and, how the quote unquote Native American population has been quote unquote managed, reprehensible, essentially, pillar to post. But what stood out to me is like Reddit, which is the front page of the internet, so to speak, is a largely liberal, leftist, and I don't even like using the term liberal for these types of people, but leftist aligned in terms of the people who comment the most, or at least what's surfaced to the top of Reddit. And our North Carolina, our Bull City, Durham, they are great examples of this. Like you see a domination in the comments of just very twisted leftist leaning people. So I am making a bit of an assumption, but on many of the posts, and I'll flip to one on screen here, on our North Carolina, and there's a variety of posts about the progression of this Lumbee Indian federal recognition situation. In the comments, I was just like blown away by people who most likely have no dog in the fight, are leftist, but are critical of their claim to federal recognition. Number one, because we're talking about racial purity and bloodline lineage to a defined tribal group. And, even some of the opposing tribes, like the Cherokees, have challenged the Lumbees' ability to get federally recognized because, for example, they don't have historical documentation of their tribe's existence. They are the merger of various tribes into their own tribe. These are some of the critiques, that they have very loose rules for being gaining membership into the tribe. And so like you see these opposing tribes criticizing their tribe prerequisites. You see people just suggesting that, well, they're the only tribe that supports Trump, and so they're just like basically bribing him with their support to get federal recognition so they can build a casino. Because, if you look at where they come from and in these various towns, Lumberton, North Carolina, for example, it's a shithole. They're all violent crime. And I'm like, man, this is a very interesting thing to come from a leftist audience. That, like, number one, racial purity and bloodline purity is important now. All of a sudden, it's acceptable to like promote and talk about
when it comes to determining genuine oppression metrics.
And
right?
then you see, like,
that's only when it matters. Race only really counts on a purity scale as long as it's about the deficit or the oppression that's been experienced.
I also see hypocrisy and a haywire nature, if you will, in the sense that, and I'm making a bit of a presumption, but I think I'm probably right. these people also harbor ideas about like social constructs and it's like
imaginary social contracts.
Yeah. So like if I can identify to be another gender,
right?
What is preventing these people from identifying as a different tribe? Like,
right.
Who's to say? Oh, they'll even say, oh, well, they have very low tribe numbers, and it's like, so why do you make the rules around how many people need to be in a tribe? I mean, I would agree it needs to be more than one. But like, why can't you have a tribe of 5 or 10 or, like what? Oh, they're saying it's 55,000. It's a very low number. It's like, so what? They identify as a tribe. Now, the other thing, again, going back to the like Minnesota thing, like,
tribalism.
Let's zoom out. This fraud is way bigger than just the Somali daycares in Minnesota.
Oh,
likewise,
yeah. Oh, God.
This little debate, we're over here couch debating about federal recognition. Can we zoom out a little bit? Like this whole idea that, well, they get federal recognition. Why can't I? I'm a white man. Why can't I form a tribe and get federally recognized and then get benefits that other people don't?
Right.
You weren't oppressed. Like, you need historical documentation, and it's just like, can we get out of the business of this? Can we get out of the business of, well, we're going to determine if you're in need and then subsidize you, and then get out of the business of, oh, well, we need to determine if you're oppressed in the past by the government, like decades ago, and then like take from the current population and give to you.
Well, right. See, that's the thing, that's what a lot of this tribalism is really angling towards, which is
it creates more tribalism. Actually,
it's tribalism begets more tribalism. So, especially when the nepotism and the favoritism within various tribalisms gets rewarded handsomely,
right,
and gets a big old slice of the pie,
casino.
Yeah, right. And so that's going to beget more, kind of Gibbs psychology. Like, we need more and more and more. It's the insatiability of identity.
Compensation drives motivation. You put what did you say? You said this in our last episode. We talked a little bit about this.
If you give a mouse a cookie, it's gonna want some milk.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So here we go.
Yeah.
And it was actually before all the headlines really hit. The last episode was early November, and we were talking about this exact thing.
Right.
Where this is, you can just zoom in briefly at this particular population, and you see that the vast majority of them are Muslim, and that there has been in certain sects of Islam a ongoing jihad, which, according to the Quran, excuses all sorts of measures in the holy war in order to get her done, so to speak, and
just like we do,
vanquish the infidels. Right, manifest destiny. All
preemptive strike.
Right, all this goes back to this kind of dark bellicose egregore of the idea of a just war.
Right, the Thomas Aquinas just war theory.
Yeah, which is in itself
which we've twisted. Actually,
it's very dark egregore, and we've twisted it to be this plaything, this puppetry that we get to unleash. And going back to the whole radical egalitarianism, right? I mean, everyone's kind of the same. We're all these flesh suit dirt bags, basically, that really just need to be managed properly,
right,
by less dirt baggy super flesh suit specimens. This sort of implicit elitism within the authoritarian collectivism, and how that's systematically bandied about and schizophrenically ignored, and but it's a inherent operating principle to all of the ideologies therein, whether it's Frankfurt School, Marxism, Malthusianism, what have you. There's always going to be different variations of these egregores on each respective quadrant of the political matrix, but ultimately it boils down to might is right. essentially.
Yeah.
It boils
Every
down
time.
to might is right.
Every time.
Every time. And the tribalism is just...
all they do is paint it in different colors
Exactly.
and try to, gain psychological support for the operation by making a bunch of, like...
Gestures. And
and
processions.
plausible
Yeah.
deniability mechanisms. There's another story. I didn't pull anything up on it, but the FBI is out there bragging about foiling a plot. An ISIS plot. And an encouraging thing is, you go on Reddit and these posts, like, people are automatically questioning the narrative, and I find it's good, but I do wonder if Trump is ousted and we have a new, a Mamdani type character in there. Are those people going to go back in the closet and all of a sudden the FBI is going to gain credibility? Because I feel like a lot of the popular distrust of the current federal agencies is if they're all bending the knee to Trump, and that's why they are they're not trustworthy, not really understanding the continuity of government situation. And this is what the right often defends Trump with, is that, well, he's one guy, there's a lot of the government that stays the same, and it's hard to move a big ship. That's true. That is true, but that gives him probably a little bit more credit than he deserves. At the same time, when you have a changeover in the administration, it's not like they get to... There's federal government, I believe, is the biggest employer in America by the numbers, the number of people. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of people that they employ. They don't all turn over. They're not all consistent in their ideology. They're not all consistent in their application of their duties and their orders.
Oh no, it's all very protean. It's whichever horse looks like it's going to be winning the next series of races, and everyone, kowtows and buttons up and gets into sycophant mode in order to position themselves in such a way that they're either not, there's no blowback directed towards them because they played patty cake and they played ball enough while they were, the leading managerial, faction to head things up. And then, once the pendulum swings and keeps the grandfather clock of tyranny, ticking, it's the same thing. It's the corporatocratic quid pro quo. They both know what types of things to omit.
Yeah.
And it's just a game of, calling whatever this back and forth, this two-party, duopoly, just calling it everything but what it actually is. This is democracy and people power in action and all this stuff, and it goes back. What was it? Who was the Roman thinker that it was the 7 stages of civilization, right? Is it not Plotinus, or maybe it's Plebeius or something, where it's chaos turns into monarchy, and monarchy becomes devolves into tyranny, and then from a tyranny comes an aristocracy, and then aristocracy degrades and turns into an oligarchy, and then oligarchy transforms into a democracy, and then a democracy devolves into mob rule, which then becomes chaos again.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, it's the cycles of civilization. And it kind of, has echoes with more modern concepts like the 80 year, like the fourth turning, the different turnings, the whole Neil Howe and Strauss and those guys. There is definitely a lot of patterns,
ebb and flow
within history that
it's like the Terence McKenna work,
right?
That there's peaks and valleys, but there's also a pattern of rise and fall.
Yes,
much like the seasons, essentially.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that these epochs are kind of civilizational seasons, and we see the West having kind of round trip this whole thing at this point.
Yeah.
From monarchy now to basically a deteriorating democracy.
I
it's
have
close to mob rule now.
You know, I'm all about the anecdotes, and I'm going to say this anecdote, and then I want to bring in the caller who's been patiently waiting for 26 minutes. Potentially, I think most likely, our winner of 444 Tfuel for tonight's episode 55. But, you know, we had a great holiday. A lot of family came in and out over the last couple of weeks, and my father-in-law was here, and he was on a theta journey with us. Is on a theta journey with us. I got him in 2019, I think, and he's been part of the whole rise and the fall. But even before that, I've kind of stood out within the family of being kind of a gold and silver bug, and so naturally the silver price. He has a bunch of silver coins that he inherited, and I've talked often about the price of silver and the various things to do with it historically. And he was over at the holidays, and he brought it up, like, because I think silver hit like $67 at that point, and we were talking about it, and I wanted to get some of my bars and coins down to show him, because they're just neat, you know. And but I'm embarrassed to admit I've lost the combination of my safe with the silver in it, so I only had access to a couple coins here and there, and I showed him a silver dime.
Nice.
And I showed it to him, and he's like, what is this symbol on the other side of it? And I said, that's a very interesting question you're asking, because let me pull it up. Speaking of the ebb and flow of history,
yeah,
the silver dime, or just the dime, even the current dime, it's like, what is that? What is that symbol? Get a good. Here it is, Mercury dime. I showed him a Mercury dime. I think the current one, they took the axe off of it, but it's a fasces.
Wow.
You can see right there, it's a fasces. And I said, that's a very good question. I said, are you familiar with the fasces? And he says, no. And I said, well, it's an ancient symbol. I think it was most popularized. It might have been, envisioned even before the Roman Empire, but it's a bundle of sticks with an axe, and it symbolizes authority of government. And it was used in Nazi Germany as well, and in America and
Italy.
His next question, it should be everybody's question, is why is that on our money? And I said, well, let me just show you. A better question is, why is it in the House of Congress?
Right.
I don't know why I'm pulling up.
It's on it's on the walls.
Right. See if I can get the picture. Yeah, it's right here. You can see it next to the desk, but it's right there.
Yeah,
you know. And so some people, you know, Rome never fell, essentially, or the families behind it, you know, the power behind the throne, so to speak, you know, and then
mutated.
Wikipedia, you know, whitewashes it by saying, well, many governments have continued to use it, and it means different things. It's not authoritarianism. It's just, you know, the authority of government, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, come on, guys, this is a gang symbol, basically.
Oh, sure.
You know, and that's, again, going back to like the Hippocrats. they rant and rave about fascism now. And it's like, yeah, I've been talking about it. Yeah, we are fascists. Like,
we've been fascists, arguably from the beginning.
I mean, it really wasn't that long after the, you know, the Declaration of Independence and all that we had the United States Corporation.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
created.
You know, the very founding fathers that instituted all these protections wanted to keep making amendments because they saw, you know, things that they couldn't take into account initially. You know, and you know, the Riot Act, and you know, all kinds of various things that they're like, oh, well, you know, gotta amend this and amend this and amend this. And the reality is, you know, for all their brilliance and foresight, you know, my overriding critique is that they were at the core naive humanists. They didn't quite understand the propensity and the depths to which evil and corruption can manifest in all kinds of highfalutin, idealistic, and otherwise seemingly perfect policy sounding practices. And I think that is, you know, they envisioned certain protections, but they weren't quite as perhaps pugilistic as they maybe ought to have been when considering the threats to the project that they were.
Well, it's nice that we quote unquote won the Revolutionary War, but you know, kinetic action is a primitive form of a retaliation, and perhaps they didn't, albeit noble, the ideological
subterfuge.
Well, no, well, yes, that, but like the ideological stake in the ground, you know, unfortunately, it's not as effective against well-moneyed, you know, historically
much
entrenched,
much older
power structures.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's admirable that anybody fought back at all.
Sure.
You know, for sure. And we should be inspired by that. But like,
absolutely.
let's also not kid ourselves and
Exactly.
thinking that like we have any kind of upper hand here. Like we're in the fight, but we're not winning. We're not winning by any stretch. We're actually far, far behind.
Right.
And so like I'm kind of jumping around a lot, but like this whole Native American thing, this Somali thing, blah blah blah, you know, like well, how do I identify, like, why, if these people are entitled to benefits, do I have a claim over what was stolen from me?
Right. Exactly.
Like as a heritage American?
Absolutely. I mean, that's really the next step, is to realize that, folks, we haven't been under quote unquote constitutional rule for a long
and I'm still being asked to pay, despite Trump's lip service, you know, 40% plus of everything I earn, in the face of all these do-nothings, these non-producers, these parasites.
Exactly.
To fund them. It assaults the logic, it insults the intelligence. I want to play this clip that you sent me to speak to that a little bit, and then we'll go to our caller. We'll play the video and then go to the caller to get a reaction or an introduction of a new topic.
Yeah, here we go.
Hey, making my coffee.
Here we go.
Go to work today, making my coffee. Meanwhile, Somalians are stealing $8 billion from the government. Meanwhile, the Pentagon just lost $2.5 trillion, and I have no idea where it went. Ilhan Omar's had a Congress seat after committing marriage fraud and immigration fraud, tax fraud, money laundering, sending money to terrorist organizations in Somalia. And she's living high on the hog, chilling. $40 million net worth with $174,000 salary. Isn't that great, American citizens? And what is our president doing about it? Complaining about her ass on Twitter. Instead of raiding her house and freezing her bank accounts or deporting her, signing a executive order to get these people cooked. Nah, what's his useless ass doing? Bragging about how great it is to live for the middle class. No, it's not, nigga. I'm still poor. My life hasn't changed at all. What do you mean? The economy's doing amazing. America's more respected than ever. You're gaslighting us. America's more respected than ever? Oh, really? When you have a bunch of third world retards that are going to Minnesota just to steal from the government? Oh, but the country's respected? I don't respect you right now. I don't. Why has Tim Walz not been arrested already? Why? Why has he not been detained? Why have you not even made a statement about this? You're not stupid, Trump. You're not. You're not stupid, JD Vance. Why has it been crickets for the last 2 days on Twitter? You ain't got nothing to say now. Now that people are demanding action, you don't have nothing to say now. So yeah, good morning, America. Good morning. I hope you have a great Monday. Go to work, go be a slave, go get stolen from, go fund terrorism, go fund illegal aliens to go live off of your back. Have a great time today. Have an amazing Monday being a slave in your own country, actively getting replaced, and our elected officials are doing absolutely nothing about it. Isn't that great? Isn't that just amazing? I'm so happy. Stop paying taxes. Never pay taxes again. Go tax exempt on all of your forms.
Yes.
If you're an independent contractor, don't even bother. Don't even bother with it. What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
They can't even find $2.5 trillion from the Pentagon. Oh, it's almost like they're all stealing it.
Right.
Maybe that's what it is. Stop paying taxes. F the government. They're not going to save us, and we're not going to vote our way out of this one.
Correct.
We have to rebel in a big way. In a big way. Look at Mexico. Look at Nepal. That's all I'm going to say. Got to go to work today.
100%. People have to stop being cowards about it. They also have to come into the understanding the IRS has been, and for a while actually, totally discombobulated. They're
basically
unable
defunct.
And it would take a very small percentage of people to rebel to absolutely end it de facto. Because there's, I forget the number of tax court judges, but proportional to the millions of people in the country, they do not have the capacity to even prosecute the number of, like, if it's one thing if you do standout tax evasion, criminal activity, you're going to get more of a microscope.
Sure.
But these, like, very color of law, actually illegal motions that they put people through unbeknownst. People do this unbeknownst. They entrap themselves by complying and trying to comply but making mistakes. The solution is withdraw any participation. Don't fill out the forms. Don't sign anything.
It's a zero-sum game.
Exempt yourself from withholding and resist it completely. It would take, it's just like the banks themselves. Like, it would take a very small percentage of people to serve as a run on the banks.
Sure.
And I've seen this forensically. Like, you can go talk to a branch and find out, like, how much can I take out before they'll call the police. I talked to a branch once, $100,000. I said, if I wanted this in cash and I had it in my account and I asked for it, what would you do? Because he said he didn't have that amount in the branch. I said, well, this is what but it's accounted for. He said he'd call the police.
Wow.
Why would you call the police? I haven't done it. I'm not asking. I'm not robbing.
Right.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we have to order the money, and if we don't have it, you need to just wait for it. And I'm like,
wow. You
don't have $100,000 on hand? Like, we're a major metropolitan area. I didn't have $100,000 to get out, but that was a pretty stark admission. But anyways, I want to welcome our first caller of the evening. It's an anonymous number, so I can't even talk about area codes or anything like that. But welcome to the Zetetic newscast. I have just pressed the talk button, so you should be live with us here tonight on this awesome January 2nd. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you doing?
I kind of recognize that voice a little bit.
Yeah, James Iredell.
James Iredell.
It's Mr. Iredell. Long time no speak, my friend. I think you've been very. I'm speculating, but that you've been very active on our Telegram, which is an amazing. It is. We've called it out a number of times. Correct me if I'm wrong, James, but I think you're responsible for like at least 70-80% of the content on that channel. Totally pro bono. Maybe we need to flip you some Tfuel. I'm not sure, but I really appreciate it. Like I posted earlier today and yesterday, and I had 2 posts I wanted to make back to back. I couldn't even fire them off before you were sending articles to the channel. So if that's you, I really appreciate it, because it's a great stream of content, and I wish more people would be able to enjoy it and join the channel. If you're interested, go to zetetic.news and look for the Telegram button, or search Zetetic News Sleuths on Telegram. You can find us. But I've babbled enough. What's good, James? Thanks for joining the show. You probably heard a little bit of our banter. You can comment on that, or if you have something top of mind, please bring it up.
Yeah, I guess just at the macro level, the way I see things rolling out, are both of you, you're probably familiar with the interview that J. Edward Griffith did with Yuri Bezmenov back, I think it was in the 80s.
Yes.
I'm not.
There's 2 versions. There's a long version of it, and there's a short version of it, and there's also a Telegram channel. Yuri Bezmenov tried to warn us, but it's all over the place. You get from G. Edward Griffith's channel, and it was really fascinating. What he was a career KGB agent who at great risk defected to the West, and so it was successful. And he talked about 4 stages about how communists would take over a nation. And of course, I'm not stating or implying or advocating, it's a Soviet threat, Soviet threat. Just the idea how what we would call the New World Order or the power elite, how they do it. Right now, you see it at a smaller level with like what's going on in Iran. That appears certainly like a color revolution, just as occurred in Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. But he talked about one phase being destabilization, and part of what you're talking about is, I see it on the right, of course it's obvious on the left, is that Bezmenov has said when you get to one point, people are so, I don't know if you use the word destabilized or another one, a different word, because it gets to the point where people, it doesn't matter how much information you give them that's legitimate, they can't see it. And just anecdotally, I was just trying to share with some people on the so-called right about the genocide in Gaza, and it just bounces off. One guy just continues to tell me, well, Muslims can't be trusted. It's not like all the Palestinians are Muslims anyhow. And then someone else just says, oh, yeah, it's all that, it's justified. You won't call it genocide. He goes, just like in World War II. And I guess if you do believe, what happened in Nagasaki and Hiroshima was justified, basically Truman had lied. There were civilian population centers that had nothing to do with the military. So I guess if you thought that was moral, then you could see what's going on in Gaza as moral. But it's all part of the destabilization plan, and I mean, it's well on track. You talk about disinfo and what's going on. Again, you don't know. I mean, you can't trust anyone, in my opinion. But probably the best guy out there in Congress is Massey, and I posted this on the Telegram channel. When they came out with the latest revelation, they said like 1 million more documents were found. That's why they couldn't follow the law and release everything from the Epstein files. He had a great post on X, formerly Twitter, saying, so there's 1 million more pages, but only 2 people were guilty. But I say that to just back up and reiterate the point that left or right, people still can't comprehend the basic reality that if this whole Epstein farce document release was real, people would be getting charged left and right. No one's going to be indicted. I mean, no, there's criminality. It's that they have proof. They've had proof. It's just amazing. But the destabilization is it's well along the way. I mean, it's really, really deep. The Lumbee stuff is interesting. I've been exposed to that where I live now, and I really didn't know much about them. But it's obviously, as you implied, it's all grifting. I mean, it's hilarious. None of the so-called Native American tribes should get anything.
Right.
And this is what leads towards the reparation mentality among blacks and others.
It's a hyper tribal. Do you agree? It's a hyper tribalization. Yep. Like you're seeing whites who don't even have a dog in the fight, like arguing about whether they get federally recognized based on XYZ reason. And it's like, can we zoom out a little bit and be like, the fairest thing it's like if you have 5 kids, right, and you have 5 different treats, and they can't agree at all over who gets what, and it's just going to create a huge fight. Well, the fairest thing is nobody gets anything.
Yeah.
That's the answer, because you're going to make somebody unhappy if you distribute them. Somebody's going to not get the treat that they want. Right. And that includes the neighbor kid who's over there playing at your house, who there's no treat for him. And that's the whites.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's the whites in this scenario.
Absolutely. It's all manifestation again. It's like going back to G. Edward Griffith. He had that great presentation called The Collectivist. I think he called it The Collectivist Conspiracy. And that's how you really view everything, not left versus right, but really collectivism versus individualism and sovereignty for the individual and liberty. And you can't even talk to anyone like on the so-called right about getting rid of public schools or showing public schools, which are government indoctrination centers. So we're just again, the hour is late.
Yes.
But the tribalism is there, and they don't want it to go away. Everything is divide and distract. They wouldn't do it if it didn't work. I think everything is, again, as I've said in the past, everything is pushing towards the fake ET disclosure, followed by the fake ET invasion. I would have said 10 years ago, there's no way, as dumbed down as the public is, that they would believe it. Now, I can't believe it. I can't see how it's not going to be successful. I can't see it.
Yeah, just going back to Bezmenov, it was like a 4-stage process where you had like a long kind of incremental process of demoralization, where they take over the educational and the cultural and the moral, ethical frameworks, and basically just completely batter down the psychology and the pride of the nation. And then that usually lasts 15 to 20, 25 years, and then you had destabilization, which is 5-ish years, and we're currently kind of in that zone where the nation becomes vulnerable to basically critical attack vectors after this is already set in. And then crisis is the third step, and then normalization. And it's just kind of it just seems like it's a lather, rinse, repeat kind of process of consolidating power in a calculated and really kind of sneaky at first, but then a flagrant kind of shock and awe method. And they've done it over and over again. Yeah, of
course. Every major event, this is more they study, New World Order, power elite. Every major event, there's multiple agendas and goals. You see with 9/11, with COVID's, part of it was again the destabilization to get people through fear to accept things when they intentionally told the public contradictory information regarding masks, and people would comply, and like I said. I don't know what will be the next major one. I'm not sure, but we know if the banks ever do, being the banks, I think the banks will close, and then that'll be a point of no return as far as fear, what they could accomplish. Another thing I wanted to mention is digital ID. The way it's being rolled out is really ingenious. It's kind of like the smartphones, is that we've enslaved ourselves. You talk about taxes. They force us, in one sense, to have technology we really don't need. And now I'm noticing more with banks and companies I deal with. Everyone, especially around the US, has said, hey, we've upgraded our security. And they're just throwing out biometric. Hey, now, isn't this neat? You can use a biometric. You want to get up their site. And people have been doing it for years, the iPhone, and they just don't understand the danger. But I'm convinced this is how they're rolling it out. It's not my opinion. I mean, other people have said I'm just parroting it. But this is how they're going to get people to accept digital ID. It's not going to be a law.
Yeah,
it's going to be de facto when everyone does it.
Yeah, well, I travel, I fly at least twice a month, I guess, once or twice a month. And so I'm subject, when I drive on the roads or I fly, that's literally my only intersection physically with the government itself. And so that has really informed my perspective on it, to a large extent, of the effectiveness of government. And I've seen firsthand the my first flight was at 8 years old, and I remember my parents being able to go up to the gate and all of this, and I really don't remember any major security at all, other than like my boarding pass. You know, I don't remember x-rays at that point. They might have been there. I don't remember metal detectors. But then like 9/11 happened, and as I continued to fly, like that was like a point of anxiety I developed interacting with the TSA. And you know, James, we've talked about the rollout of the Real ID for years. I mean, literally in our January episode of 2020, where we did a what we called a list of mega singularities, Real ID was in there because it was supposed to have been rolled out, I think, in October of 2020. And we've talked about this many times, the kicking of the can, which is like, it's actually a conditioning program to just drum it in. Like, that was totally intentional and premeditated. It wasn't because of operational inability to like roll it out. Like, they have the capability to do it. When the government wants to do something, they do it, and they do it like immediately, and it's completely ham-fisted, and you just have to deal with it. But like, the Real ID finally went into effect, and I don't know if you might have seen the headlines, but if you're not flying, you don't know what that actually looks like. And I remember, because I started a new job and I had to go different places, this was coming to a head, and I don't have a Real ID, and I lost my passport, and it's a pain in the ass to get a new one. And it's also
by design.
Of course, and it's a pain in the ass. And who knows? Like, there's tax implications too. Like, there have been laws passed about of recent in the last 5 or 10 years, where if you owe a certain amount of taxes, they would revoke your passport. And it's been about 10 years since I got my last passport, so I don't even know how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be, because I haven't submitted the application yet. But nor have I done the Real ID, and like, hearing firsthand from my mother-in-law, I mean, it was a huge pain in the ass, and they didn't even give it to her. Like, she didn't qualify for some reason. Like, it was just insane. Wow. This is a lady who's had a driver's license for like 50 fucking years. And I'm like, I refuse. So when I had my first flight scheduled at this new job, I was like, okay, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to call the airport, and I'm going to find out what's going to happen when I show up without a Real ID now that this is in effect. And they put me on the phone with some TSA manager, and she said, well, you'll have to subject yourself to some additional verification. And I said, okay, what do you need? Like, what do you need besides my ID, which, by the way, is still valid? It's a valid driver's license. It hasn't expired, you know, but it's not a Real ID. It's the ID that the government issued me. And she's like, well, I can't tell you what the process is. And I'm like, yeah, but what's going to happen if I don't have the thing that you need to verify me additionally? I'm going to be pretty upset, because that would imply I can't fly. And she literally wouldn't tell me. She just said, you need to bring yourself, and the ID is fine. So then I show up with my regular ID. They give me a pink card, which indicates I don't have a Real ID, sort of like a humiliation ritual, and I have to go through pat down. Well, I go through pat down anyways, because I refuse to go through the cancer machines. And I'm like, okay, so what's different about this? This is just the same thing. If I opted out for, well, you're going to laugh, James. They pull out the little swabber. I don't know if you've ever had a pat down, but they will swab your hands sometimes, and then put it in this fancy magic box that's supposedly detecting whether explosives are there. And basically they just did that on my hands, and that was it. And then I'm sure you've been amazed, as I have, to see the headlines, because I did this for months, and even though it's quote unquote in effect, they're still letting people without a real ID through. I see the headlines, well, the TSA is suggesting an $18 fee for people to fly without the real ID. I don't know if you've seen this, Xavier. You look surprised.
No.
But that was a headline in the last couple of months. And I'm like, the TSA suggests. Who the fuck are they?
Right.
Where does this money go to? And for what? Like, oh, because are these TSA employees who are suggesting this because they are sick of having to keep track of who doesn't have a real ID or not? Because I see them, they have a little chart and they check, oh, this is a non-real ID passenger.
Oh, man.
And I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the state, pre-crime. Like, well, you get pulled over for speeding. Okay, well, what did I do? Well, you were speeding. Did I hurt myself or anyone? No,
right.
But
A victimless crime.
Okay, so I owe you money. I guess I'm safer now.
Right.
And the state's safer because you're able. So because you have money for me. Yeah. The whole thing with travel, as I'm sure you know, is part of Agenda 2030.
Yeah.
And they want to basically destroy people's ability to travel. The 15-minute cities, and also they do everything incrementally, so they just make it more and more miserable. When I was a kid, I used to enjoy flying. I mean, but no more. I've only been on a plane like twice in the last 20 years. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm in the system. I have a passport if I have to do it, but I may just do what you've done just for fun in the future, since I don't have a real ID on my license, and just see what happens. But the day will come. I mean, if they ever want to flip the script, they'll just say you could show up, and they'll just say, just like they do with the what's that list they have, the no-fly list.
The no-fly list.
Since 9/11, you don't know how you get on, you don't know how you get off. The day may come when any of us will just be there. If we don't have real ID, they'll just say, we're not sorry, go away.
Right. Well, and it's just also so mind-boggling that you have these people like Epstein who had 6 and 7 different passports and 7 social security.
You see why they're valuable. They're very valuable assets in this global grid of travel regulation, essentially. I actually qualify. I haven't filed anything, but I can become an Irish citizen through my grandmother and get a EU passport, and I have considered that would be a very valuable thing to have.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
because the EU, and that would open up other countries.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Right. But I want to pivot a little bit. Speaking of flying, James, and get your take on this. I really wanted to highlight this on the show because it actually came up like literally today. And are you seeing the video, James? Like of
Which
our
one?
stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm on the ZNN Telegram right now, and I've got a picture up. This is an image I took yesterday as I left a grocery store.
Wow.
And I have a bunch of these images on my phone and on my computer going all the way back to like 2011. Anytime I see this kind of stuff going on in the sky, like I know what it is and I educate my children about it. I have debated bringing up to my kids go to a homeschool enrichment class, and their science curriculum in the last semester was weather, and they didn't talk about geoengineering. They didn't talk about weather modification. They didn't talk about the technologies that we have at our disposal and are using all the time to change the weather systems as we understand them. But like I was out with my kids at the time, we went out to the movies and whatnot, and I saw this in the sky. I always make a note of it. And this one is probably the worst one I've ever seen in my whole life. Like very strong. I showed this to your wife, Xavier, at the park, and she was like, wow, that's a strong one. Yeah. X marks the spot. So I took this picture when I was out and about yesterday, and I'm literally eating breakfast this morning, with my wife, and the news is on as like background noise, the local WRAL in the Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina, the news, and they're doing like a little weather segment, okay? And she's like, "Do you hear what they're talking about right now?" I was like, "No, I don't." Like, and I caught like the tail end of it, and I couldn't believe what they were talking about and how they were talking about it, because, and I'll play this clip, it's like so in your face. We're just straight up normalizing this now, and this is I think they're an ABC affiliate or WRL. I don't know if they're ABC affiliate, but they're
NBC.
NBC, right? You know, the order has been given. Like, we've reached critical mass on this subject of weather modification, which we've talked about since our inception.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're all looking at the same thing, essentially. And the information is out there. We've covered it so many times on ZNN. But so that's the picture yesterday. And then this morning, I'm literally videotaping my TV screen. I backed it up. Thank God for, you know, it's kind of like DVR with Hulu on live TV. You can back it up. I backed it up. And it's also very strange, very weird transition. They're talking about college football transfer portal, which is a portal where college football transfers can go and apply to transfer to another team in school. And you just listen to this clip, and I really want your reaction, James and Xavier.
Very good sign.
The portal will be open through January 16th. We will be following the decisions on our website and in our evening newscast starting at 4 p.m. The skies out there are a portal of sorts, and a lot of planes are going through it. And you may have noticed that there are a lot of lines in the sky if you step outside. And Grant Skinner joins us now with a picture and to explain exactly what makes up these contrails.
Yeah, so you have these planes going through the sky, as we always do. Well, there's a lot more moisture in the upper parts of our atmosphere. These lines will form, and they're there to stay. There's a lot of condensation happening with the exhaust off of those planes. So we got this view from Jonathan. A lot of these lines, when you have a lot of moisture in place and we're getting into a more favorable environment for a lot of upper level moisture, you're going to see more of these lines, and they stick around and they help to create more clouds. So typically when we have a dry upper level atmosphere, these lines are there for a short period of time and then they're gone pretty quickly. They just kind of evaporate pretty fast. But right now we have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. The lines form from the exhaust and they stick around and they help to form other clouds as well. It's hot gas from the exhaust and it condensates from the very cold upper level parts of our atmosphere. You can see it from RDU as well. A lot of those lines from the planes that have gone through and they help to create clouds behind it. Our next weather maker is this.
Those lines!
From west to east. We're already seeing more moisture right now. We'll see a better rain chance tomorrow as the system gets closer. The strongest showers and storms likely to our south.
Those lines, dude.
Those lines.
Those lines. They stick around, then they evaporate.
Don't you worry your little head. Just because some of them linger, that's natural, baby.
We just create some more clouds.
It's just the same nature. It's just the ones that linger a little longer create weather. That's all. But yeah, it's totally natural, baby. Like, don't you worry your little head. But it's almost like they have to call it everything except what it is. Those lines, contrails. Oh yeah, condensation. When it's real dry up there, there's not a lot of clouds. They dissipate real fast, which is not true.
The sky's a portal of sorts.
The sky's a
portal of sorts, and portal's going to be open until January 16th, and planes fly through it.
Yeah. What the portal to the sky vacuum? Yeah. Interesting. I mean, yeah.
James, go ahead. James, what do you make of that?
It was funny. I mean, nothing. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the video clips with local newscast, and they have the same, almost verbatim, the same words. So nothing's by accident. they do different stuff. You know, they make light of it. The transition. I don't think anything was off the cuff, but it was humorous. I thought they were going to talk about, you know, geoengineering, but now he seems like he was saying it was contrails, which is hilarious. RFK Jr. has admitted, yeah, that's real, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But it was entertaining. I guess, like with a lot of other stuff, they don't mind what people know. So I see this. My interpretation would be, this is a transition to get people to eventually accept that geoengineering is real, and then just say, well, who cares? It's just like Snowden. I've said this analogy before. Please forgive me. Snowden was great, former CIA agent, and he didn't reveal anything really that wasn't known. James Bamford and James Binney, who was a real NSA whistleblower, had basically said pretty much essentially everything Snowden had said. But the CIA-controlled media focused on him, and part, I think, of that psyop was to get the vast majority of the public to realize, okay, well, so they're listening to, they have access to all your electronic communications, every phone call, every text, every email. So who cares? I have nothing tied. When the response should be, well, that I would agree with that if we had an open database of everyone in the government, or what they see, of what their communications are. But it doesn't work like that, does it?
Right.
So that way, I guess I just see it. This is just normalization. They're just pushing people, you know, to just get closer to say, okay, well, yeah, geoengineering's real. So yeah, okay, there's strontium and barium. That's aluminum. Okay, I drink soda out of an aluminum can. What's the problem?
Right. Right, exactly. I mean, it's there to just kind of further anesthetize people to just the insanity that's replete everywhere, and having it just seem normal, seem like there's nothing really afoot. Oh, just if we don't worry about it, nothing bad's gonna happen. You know, that kind of learned helplessness. Anesthetization protocol that is Pavlovian, you know. I mean, it's operant conditioning. They have those behavioral sciences kind of, you know, down pat. And they know how to do artificial stimuli and manufactured response and all this stuff, and it is perfected under the Bernaysian paradigm. And all this is just spin off and after effect and consequence of that paradigm rooting itself in so deeply. And I mean, Trump is one of the ultimate Bernaysian candidates. After all, he's kind of the poster child merger of the political and the celebrity class. And he's kind of an older iteration of that.
Yeah, but he's all in one. He's all in one. That's what Hillary said. They had trouble competing with him is because he has that celebrity factor, which Washington people aspire to, and it's incredibly hard. He knows, he's a media trained, like
he's kind of a sock puppet a little bit. I mean,
absolutely, absolutely. But undoubtedly,
Paul Manafort.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say,
Paul Manafort was, I think, his third campaign manager the first time he ran, and I said this before. It was the best takeaway during that campaign. He goes, for Donald Trump, the presidency, running for president, is the ultimate reality show, the ultimate reality TV show. I couldn't have said it better. The thing with the contrails and the same lines, when they roll out stuff to get people to accept it, they always roll it out in stages. A great example is like with vaccines. They'll get people first to think, well, vaccines are causing damage. It's not intentional. Is that the corporations are greedy, and then it takes a while to realize no, it's not just that. It's not a matter of greed, because they can make great money producing good products. It's because they're intentionally maiming and killing people. So that's harder pill to swallow. But a lot of people can say, "Oh yeah, greedy corporations." It's not. No, it's not just greed.
It's not just greed. Greed is one component, but it's not the whole picture.
Yeah. Right. But they roll it out. It's easy for people to accept that, and they may or may not learn more from that point. But this is the way they roll it out. So now people will think, well, I watched RAL. Yeah, I know that. And someone talks about chemtrails. Like, oh no, that's just lines in the sky. That's just
lines.
Right.
That's it.
It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, on the vaccine front, it's interesting. I get into these in-depth, lengthy text message debates with my libtard aunt, and she's very, and I hope she's listening. I mean it with affection. I really do. She knows I love her, and but she is a libtard, and she, we go back and forth on vaccines. Neither one of us is going to change each other's minds. Like, her heels are dug in, my heels are dug in, but nevertheless, we get into these debates, and I'm like, listen, you're over here talking about corporate greed and how healthcare is a right and blah blah blah. Well, is it not problematic? But you're also pro-vaccine. Like, is it not problematic, the profit that these manufacturers and the lack of liability that they carry with their operations? Like, does it not give you pause, the massive propaganda campaign? And like, we obsessed over, and here we are still talking about COVID. God, it's like, it's a nightmare. We closed down the world for not one more death of COVID, because those deaths are more valuable than any other deaths, I guess. But like, there are examples of vaccines that have been administered that resulted in death. You want to debunk every single one. There's not one. If there's one, your entire thesis around not one more death is totally bunk. And she'll quip, she'll dance around the subject, and then she'll, like, 2 days later, she'll send me this thing about the inventor of the polio vaccine and how he didn't profit, and it was this big altruistic thing that saved all these millions of lives. And I was like, what about the Qatar incident, which I have up on screen right now? And that was where a lab producing the polio vaccine contaminated a batch that gave people 200,000 of them polio. And she's like, yeah, blah blah. She just like sweeps it under the rug, like, well, it's over. It's still worth it. Basically, the amount of lives we've saved is way more than we otherwise would have. And I'm like, but hold on, the number of cases of polio before the vaccine nationally was like 59,000. Here in this one batch, you get 200,000. So like, how many? What are you talking about? Like, statistically, you're not even correct. And then you also have the SV40. The SV40. I'm gonna pull it up. Is
that the aborted cell diploid?
No. It's a
Bill Gates funded the oral polio vaccine that killed tons of people in India, and the internet's largest.
Well, there's that. There's that, but this is the SV40 vaccine is a contamination event that happened between 1955 and 1961 during the rollout of the polio vaccine, which was derived from like simian kidney cells. And SV40 is apparently an indicator in a bunch of different cancers. So like, basically, people who have cancer of these various organs, I think it's like 80+% of them have an SV40 marker in their cancer, right? Like, that's a marker for them. And then meanwhile, there's millions, literally millions of the polio vaccine was contaminated with SV40. Now, there have been a bunch of, like, if you Google it, like, there's a bunch of like scientific institutions who say, well, we've never really found we've never found a correlation between the mass vaccination campaign of the contaminated vaccines that contained SV40 and the cancers. We haven't drawn that association, but we know they're contaminated, and we know that this is a marker. And so, like, it's like, well, I can draw my own conclusion. I don't need this is my opinion, like, we don't need a comprehensive scientific study. It's like common sense. Like, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing the juxtaposition, this crazy rise of cancer, this crazy rise of vaccination. Like, I don't need official science to basically put a stamp on it. Like,
Sure. It's what you said before. If vaccines were legitimate, you wouldn't need blanket legal immunity from suing them, because if that was removed, it'd be over immediately.
Exactly.
So this Cutter,
out of existence.
Thank you. This Cutter incident, that's what I pointed out. You know, she was like agreeing with me, my libtard aunt, agreeing with me that, well, the liability thing, that's not good. Like, the manufacturers need, and I'm like, yeah, but the Cutter incident, which pertained to the polio vaccine you're putting on a pedestal, led to the legislation that was passed that became the vaccine court in 1986. So what about that? You'd think I could get some common ground here, because I think that was passed under Reagan.
Yeah, it was Reagan signing into law at the Democratic Congress. The great example of this, as far as the free market, what we have left working, is that when President Ford mandated the entire country get the swine flu vaccine, they did a 180 very quickly when like 250 people or so got Guillain-Barré nerve disease and like 30 died.
Right.
It stopped on a dime because they knew they were going to get sued out of existence. That's the way it should work.
Right.
But,
yeah, when you're going to experiment, like, it's crazy. If you look into how they do quote-unquote clinical studies of vaccines, they have a control group, of course, and then they have the real group, and they just let them go back into they let them go back into their normal life after the vaccine, and then they come back and they look at the numbers like later. But that is so not. You can try to control for certain things like height and weight and gender and your various cohorts, your location, blah blah blah, but like you can't control for every factor when people are going back into their normal life. And to attribute immunity to a certain thing like ignores a vast amount of variables that that would be high. I would think highly influential, like where you went, what are your hygiene practices, what is your genetic background, every person is different. Anybody who's had kids understands, like, and that's another like red flag for the whole COVID thing, is like you can have 5 people.
It was even worse.
You can have 5 people.
It was even worse, as you know.
It could be worse
because with COVID, traditionally they would spend 7 to 10 years before a vaccine would be rolled out to the public. With COVID, it was less than a year. So they just rewrote the script with what was experimental mRNA biotechnology. I think I told you a story. I went to a PCP I don't see anymore, and I said he was trying to get me because he was getting kickbacks from Blue Cross Blue Shield to get me to take the bioweapon. That was never an issue until that point. And I said, you really know this? And I went through 7 to 10 years, and I said, when they tested this on ferrets, they all died. His response was, "Don't be a ferret," and it took a lot of willpower on me not to break his jaw.
Right. Don't be a ferret. What kind of response is that?
Well, remember the number one rule is if you question conflict of interest and bias within the so-called scientific efficacy of their trials, you're a science denier and probably a racist.
Yeah,
I mean, that at the end of the day, that they default to ad hominem because they actually don't have a genuine reply. They only want to smear your character for not going along with the programming, and there's plenty of good reason to not go along with the programming, but they can't have that be a mass effect. They can't have that be a viral sentiment, and so they have to tar and feather and blackball and censor and shadow ban and
argument the ad hominem, attack the person, don't attack the argument. Do you guys see people with masks on? Where I live now in the state, I'm seeing people with masks on.
I saw one at least a couple recently. It's fortunately increasingly more rare in my experience. I feel sympathy as well as anger towards the people I see with them on, like on one hand I feel bad, God, like this shit kicked off 5 years ago, 6 years ago at this point,
Yeah.
And you're still scared? Well, that's a better part of a decade. Yeah. And you're that scared. Also, you're that ignorant. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But then I'm angry too.
That blew me away. The viral particles. I mean, it's like spraying water through a chain link fence.
Right. Right.
No if it is what they say, I don't believe it. But if it is, that's no protection.
Right. I mean, that's the whole hypocrisy and the built-in schizomania behind all their convictions. Is it's self-contradictory on so many different levels upon any kind of logical scrutiny, but they can't have you believe that if everyone just realized something on a logical basis, they could think or decide differently. They want you to just cooperate with whatever the manufactured Borg hive mind consensus patterning is. And if you're an outsider from the consensus patterning, oh, you're a pariah, you're a miscreant, you're a blasphemer, to the
I'll never forget
the altar of scientism.
I'll never forget what the former mayor of Durham, the city of Durham in North Carolina, said in the mix, like in the height of the COVID fear, in the ramp up, like, I want people who don't wear masks to feel like the weird ones in society. He said that.
I remember that.
And I believe we made a video, we talked about it, and then I made like a little clip, and it got banned on YouTube for that, which is just unbelievable.
Wild.
But we need to bring this up on every single show because James, are you amazed? Like, I'm frankly concerned with the degree to which it seems on the surface things have gone back to normal, and I'm not wishing for things to not to go back to the way they were. But what I'm concerned with is the complacency and the lack of recognition of like what fucking happened back then. And like the huge anchor point that the powers that be dug into the ground with that operation, and the anxiety of what inevitably will happen is some sort of COVID 2.0, COVID 3.0. It may not be this boogie bug type operation. It may be something more like what you said earlier, the fake alien invasion. Whatever the case may be, the mass misconception will generalize it, will rear its ugly head, and the portal's open till January 16th, so we'll see. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that goes into the whole like kind of market commentary, which is, it really does feel like we're 2 or 3 headlines away from just some kind of cataclysmic jubilee or reset.
Well, with the silver, the crypto, where it is. The stock market has not made sense for a while, a long time. Now, with the tip of the iceberg, and then I'll let you jump in, James, the tip of the iceberg of fraud being peeled back and people becoming more open to a reckoning of sorts. I think the fraud is already there. Like you and me, us here talking, it's already priced in. Like, we've already priced in the fraud, and we've made our bets. But the market, people are drinking Kool-Aid still, big time. And a personal anecdote: my neighbor is selling his house. Was originally priced at $538,000 for this house, which was purchased 10 years ago for $250,000, with no updates.
Yeah,
no updates.
Just plain
and
Jane
just double
used.
it. Let's just double it. And What warrants that? Well, it's been on the market since May. And they've decreased the price, probably $50K since then. And they're bubbles galore to pop.
Oh yeah. Well, but here's the quagmire or the paradox, as it were, which is like, pop into what? Because the dollar has been so debased for so long that any kind of substantive correction in these markets would imply a flight to dollars, which is in itself a super inflating away moniker. It's a denominator that is losing trust by the weak.
Yeah.
So this is one reason why there's this everything bubble, is there's this kind of acknowledgement that, can the dollar even be saved? And you have the BRICS, the de-dollarization agenda, but even within the United States itself, there's an increasing recognition that inflation is a massive tax on my ability to use the dollar. Everything is just ballooning away. And does that ever ultimately stop? Are the incentives even in place for politicians to have a sort of budget reckoning? I don't see it. I mean,
no.
At the end of the day, the Fugazi is intact to maintain the retirements of the legacy older populations. People who are over 67, 68.
I saw a chart. We pay 1.5 or $2.5 trillion in taxes just in federal income, and 1.5 of that is fraud.
Oh, without a doubt. That's actually probably a conservative estimate, because if you look at the municipal bond and the school district fraud and all that stuff that's being backed into real estate, that is piggybacked, or rather, a lot of these smaller frauds, like the Somali fraud, is piggybacked onto that underlying foundational fraud, which is the Ponzi-nomic crematism of
And then you talked
housing.
about this on the last show, the property tax appraisal fraud.
Yeah, the central appraisal districts as being the second highest purveyor of fraud behind the Federal Reserve.
Right.
That they're
So
there.
this is actually the next Somali
Wexler.
Mitch
Wexler.
Mitch Wexler.
Yeah, he's got great research
the fraud
behind this.
he is exposed.
He has exposed it, and it is absolutely it's way. I mean, you want to get outraged about the Somalis in Minnesota? Look at the municipalities, superintendent school districts, and the central appraisal districts, and the over $19 trillion in insolvent bonds throughout the entire country. Okay. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of the data that we can access. It's likely probably close to 10 or perhaps 15 times higher.
Everybody cooking the books the public books.
Yeah.
James, what's your take on all that?
Just a few things. Ron Paul was one of the few politicians that was honest to the extent that he would talk about the inflation tax. He'd say, if you're responsible, you saved, let's say, after a year, you made 8%. But if inflation was 6%, you only made 2%. He was one of the few people in public office that would talk about the inflation tax. No one else does, to the best of my knowledge. Going back to COVID, when I say there's a multi-level operation, you say now, people's guards are down and all. This is part of the program of the destabilization, because they don't want people. They want people to forget just not only the contradictory things that were said, but like what that mayor said, just the animosity, the social unrest that they caused the fear. And now, again, the numbers are clearly on our side. They just lied completely about every essential aspect of it, even if the virus was real. They lied, and now we know the vaccines, beyond a shadow of a doubt, have hurt and killed people. We could debate the numbers, but it's undeniable. So this is part of the destabilization, where they throw out the information just like the lines in the sky, and just go on with it. Just Don't think about the implications of that. What they did to society, and obviously, they will do it again. And whether it's for a virus or not, that was a beta test, and we as a society failed. We complied. Most people.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that they wanted to push it much farther, and they weren't able to after a certain time juncture. But they basically just shelved the continuation of what they wanted to implement for later with some other conflagrated event. So I do see and kind of smell this flock of black swans that seem to be circling on the horizon here, and we don't quite know when they're going to swoop down and start plucking the fish, the unaware peons beneath. But I mean, ultimately, I really feel like we're 3, maybe 4 headlines away from another COVID style cataclysm that is probably going to usher in a big print of sorts that is going to fully debase the dollar to the tune of maybe 20 or 30 trillion dollars. I think the Federal Reserve is going to go full mask off, and they're going to basically try to bear hug the entire United States here.
Imagine our savior, Trump, wants to fire the Federal Reserve chairman because he's not printing money fast enough.
Yeah, he's not artificially suppressing real market rates.
Like, it's so sad to me that
we know he can't.
I don't know if
it's privately owned.
Right.
But yes, correct. That's why he hasn't done it yet. He's just like,
I mean, he can't even he can't even get the underling. What's her face? Lisa Cook,
the one who's all involved in the mortgage fraud and all that.
And she's not even the head.
Yeah,
and
like
he can't even get one of the underlings.
She's a private employee.
He actually
the
knows
CIA
that.
controlled media never tells people that. They'll never say, "Well, the president can't fire her because she's employed by a private corporation
that is above the president, is above the office of the president."
And he knows that. He knows that, but that doesn't prevent him from
grandstanding
and gesticulating on camera. He can walk in front of any camera and he's going to be on national news. Like, and I think that's like his real. If he has any real power, that's it. Is just like manipulation of sentiment and controlling of the news cycle. But he well knows he can't fire them, but that's what he's saying right now. It's like,
I mean, he's kind of using Scott Bessent as sort of like a bulldog a little bit, the Treasury Secretary, like, oh well, gosh, Federal Reserve is just not cooperating with our agenda. We're gonna have to wait till they have their policy switch, and I get to appoint who I want next time.
But again, it's like, can we zoom out a little bit? And the fact that the fact that we have, it's funny. The Fed promotes their independence as like a good thing. It's like you're actually unaccountable.
You're independent of oversight. Independent of accountability. Right.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Right. Yeah, because there's no consequences for their ineptitude.
The truth is stranger than fiction.
It really is.
Yeah. And I mean, it's part of this broader agenda of just crushing the morale of the nation. I mean, we've already destabilization. I mean, we've gotten to this point where they've been openly lying to people about just specifically the financial numbers ever since COVID started. It's been a giant racket of misinformation. I mean, they stopped counting, like, for example, the unemployment numbers. They still say it's like 4.6 or something %, absolutely laughable. And that the inflation is 2.7 or 2.8%. It's like,
what are you counting? What are you counting?
Yeah. If you were to go back to the 1960s and how they calculated those two things, real unemployment would be over 28%, and inflation would be about 18% year over year for the past 5 years.
Which is insane.
It's a good site.
Yeah.
a good site that breaks that down in hard numbers is shadowstats.com.
Yeah.
That does
John
a beautiful job of doing exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I do appreciate you taking my call, and I do hope you wrap up the show well. I will be listening.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I think
have a good evening.
You too.
You too, James.
James, thanks for joining. Great call in. Let's take a quick bio break, and we'll come back for the last hour of Zetetic News 55 in 2026.
Thank you.
No, go to.
Picture this. Saving up to 10% when you bundle your home and auto insurance with USAA. Some things just click. Get a quote today.
With AI,
You can create any character you want in seconds.
this used to require huge Hollywood budgets, complex software, in tons of time,
But right now, all you need is a laptop.
and knowledge of the best AI tools.
It'll cost you practically nothing, and it doesn't require a subscription.
In just 2 days, I'll show you how to unlock the most advanced AI filmmaking tools without paying a cent in overpriced subscriptions. You'll learn how to create scroll-stopping videos that rack up.
Don't worry about it as long as it's comfortable. All right.
Oh, yeah.
January 2nd, 2026, with the 55th episode of Zetetic.news. We are the first next generation news network powered by Theta, which is less and less relevant these days with all that's going on in the altcoin market. And I don't know if you guys follow the Theta situation, but
lots of lawsuits going on.
Couple lawsuits. I'll just speak on it briefly. Two former employees, the head of business development, Andrea Berry, and the head of content, Jerry Kowal, have filed lawsuits against Mitch Liu, the CEO of Theta and Theta Labs. Clearly, there's a sell-off in Theta token. Surely some OGs, as well as retail investors, but it's happening in parallel with a downward pressure in crypto markets generally, while we see a rise in precious metals markets, as well as just insane, stock market upward pressure as well.
And we have mentioned that one of the main vulnerabilities of the project is not so much the idea and the patents and the potential behind disrupting big media behemoths like YouTube in the long term, but rather the vulnerability comes from the human agents.
Yeah, of course.
And the leadership behind it. And, we've cited, Liu and Levitt as being maybe not the best leadership for this type of project. And sure enough, that unfortunate bearish thesis has kind of come to pass a little bit with these lawsuits. But
I
think it's temporary. I think long term, Theta kind of acts as a leveraged derivative with the future of Ethereum. So because it is kind of like a offshoot.
It is an offshoot.
Originally it was an offshoot of Ethereum, And I think if some of its later 2 projects really kind of wake up and start getting off the ground,
it'll change.
It'll
the
change the
calculus.
dynamic and the calculus and in terms of market valuation. But we're not quite there yet. But I do think that, for example, if you see lawsuits versus some of the media giants like Google for copyright infringement with the AI stuff, and YouTube serving as a illicit springboard for intellectual property violations en masse. I mean, I would love to see YouTube disrupted. I mean,
absolutely,
I think,
that was I think what was initially attractive to many people about the Theta concept is that it could potentially disrupt the big cloud providers, the centralized video distributors, and bring the promise of the internet and its decentralized nature to the content creators of today.
And the audiences.
A revolt against the just shadow banning, the centralized control, the kill switch possibility that lies with the big cloud providers and video distributors, which is increasingly consolidated.
Absolutely.
By the way,
and very vulnerable. I mean, and increasingly with the attention economy and the AI bubble, and now silver really could burst this bubble, at least for a period.
For a period.
Now the thing about YouTube is increasingly, and I don't know the exact percentage metrics on this, but it's a significant part of the actual economy. No.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, a lot of people
see the money
rely.
That's being made. You're seeing the money that's being made. But I think what attracted. I mean, to a large extent, the residual community around Theta that's why actually our loyalists at Zetetic.news, I think to a large extent come from the Theta network because we not only branded early with Theta and our core message of decentralized information distribution and aggregation,
and like super liberty as like the driving political force going forward.
They pivoted away from that.
I know.
Theta to an extent. It was originally a decentralized streaming infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how long ago it was, but they discontinued essentially or put on pause indefinitely the Edgecast concept. And we used to multi-stream on YouTube and on Theta. We did Rumble. We played with Rumble and Odyssey and stuff like that. And it's logistically it's difficult for me to do it all on 3 and like manage all that without staff. If Theta was of a higher nominal value, like we could probably afford at this point. And if it was at 2021 levels, we could afford a staff.
Sure.
We were independently financed at that time by the Theta token, and to an extent we still are, because we give out the reward. Xavier, and anybody else who contributes to the network, we will pay in Tfuel. That whole concept is still there. But like Theta Labs abandoned the best element
of
Napster,
their project.
Napster of video streaming.
I know,
and it's a huge bummer. Even though like we garnered very little audience on the Theta Edgecast application, the concept was there, and it was a cool proof of concept, to decentralize the streaming of our network, which was uncensorable. As long as you had the application and yada yada yada, and we could sort of sidestep the what we've experienced on YouTube, which is hardcore shadow banning and outright banning, not, you know, what do you call it, light banning or whatever, you know, like in the sunlight banning, you know, banning
shadow
sensory
suppression.
So anyways, I actually didn't mean to launch into all that, but like, you know, the lawsuits, like you mentioned lawsuits with Google, Jerry Kowal, who's one of the plaintiffs in the action against Theta Labs, he has 2 prior actions against Netflix and AWS. Those are 2 of his former employers, and you know, he claims that, well, they had a dispute around sharing of trade secrets, essentially, and he sued them, and he actually lost his lawsuits. So he actually has a history of bringing action against his former employers, and you know, Wes Levitt has said on Discord that, you know, they overlooked this when hiring him, giving him the benefit of the doubt, and that turned out to be a mistake, and here he is like making these allegations, which we're going to prove is wrong. So it'll be an interesting year with Theta. You know, we're still going to be branding with Theta because I have a sizable stake in Theta, and it generates Tfuel through our edge node and staking operations, which we will use, even though the value of such has diminished. I mean, it's like we're back in 2019 when we started. You know, like I was giving you Tfuel for joining the show, and it was worth like $1, $5 or whatever, but it was the concept that mattered. And then like at one point, what was 1,000 Tfuel?
Oh, it got up to like $280 or $300 or something for 1,000.
Yeah, a show. And so
it got even higher for a second, but it came back down very quickly.
I actually think the pivot to AI, like people criticize it, you know, like, oh, they're pivoting this, they should have stayed with that. Like, I am bummed that the decentralized streaming infrastructure took a backseat to AI, but I also, being in the data and analytics space professionally, I actually understand it, because the AI, I mean, that is the shiny thing that everybody is chasing. And when you look at the fundamentals of data center capacity and electricity, the value proposition of Theta and its concept very much is still at play, because they're talking about onboarding net new nuclear plants to power these data centers,
right?
Because the grid can't support it. Okay, but like actually the grid is supporting a lot of latent capacity that isn't being utilized efficiently already. And so that is the value proposition of Theta, and it's true that, well, to an extent it's true. I think it's the original value prop had to do with the fact that like 80% of data transmission globally was in video, and that's I don't think that's changed. But AI is growing. That's like the shiny object. So like the compute capacity, there's a lot of things that people would like to do with AI that they can't do because of compute limitations. And so for a future like if you can solve that, there's enormous value to be unlocked. And so from that standpoint, the pivot to decentralized and democratized AI compute monetization, that is a very valid business plan if you can execute it. And that's the key thing, is can the Theta team actually execute on that?
Yeah, it's the network adoption rate hurdle.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, beyond that, like, I really think that this Goliath sort of attention economy system that Google through YouTube basically dominates. They have close to a monopoly on it still. And I mean, the vulnerabilities of some kind of internet down sort of cyber attack vector that goes after these servers and like exposes a lot of infrastructural vulnerabilities and like hackabilities within these big databases. Yeah, I think it could lead to kind of a emergency rare earth energy kind of scramble to create more resilient, higher output systems that can be more preventative against computer viruses. So like you were talking about the like dedicated nuclear facilities, I've seen this kind of uptick in this idea of thorium being this kind of rare earth element that is sort of a sleeper vector for powering all kinds of new energy applications and facilities, and that could alleviate some of the wear and tear on the grid. But I guess going forward, it's really a money issue still at bottom, because this kind of so-called K-shaped economy there's a very marked possibility that it morphs into kind of like this Elysium structure that we've been talking about for really since the start of our show, like a lowercase I economy, where you have this kind of Elysium elite that's separated from all of the consequences of their horrible, draconian, identitarian, delusional, egalitarian, collectivist policies.
They're basically pedestalized,
They're
by the
pedestalized.
pile of shit
Exactly.
that they squatted on the ground.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that they're no longer touching the
they're
consequences.
the cherry on
Yeah.
top that is levitating with anti-gravitic technology that they have sequestered
Precisely.
from the pile of shit that has gravitated to the earth. And that reminds me, I dropped this video in our Telegram, and you've talked about it on previous shows. It gets into the more esoteric subject around physics and geophysics and really cosmology.
Yeah.
But I want to play it, and then we had a caller who just dropped. I'm going to call them back and see if I can get them in the queue. But I want to play this, and then we can chat, hopefully, with our caller. But
oh yeah, this is like a mind bender
exercise.
Exactly.
What if you could jump through a hole that goes all the way through the earth? First, gravity would pull you downward, and you'd speed up fast. By the time you reach the Earth's core, you'd be flying at over 28,000 kilometers per hour. But here's the catch. Gravity would slow you down on the way up the other side. You'd stop just short of the surface, then fall back again. And this would happen over and over. Eventually, air resistance would slow you down until you're stuck floating in the middle of the Earth. What if you could jump through a hole that goes all the way...
Uh-oh. We lost our... Just want to make sure our call line is still open. It looks like it dropped. But anyways, yeah. Yeah, but rubber banding, within the core of the Earth.
Uh-huh.
It's a fun idea.
Isn't that... Yeah, I mean... How
through the Earth. First, gravity would...
Yeah, so the idea is if you... so down is only ever a relative direction towards the center, ultimately, there is only a relative down direction because you're going in between antipodal orientations. Right? if you're headlong in one part of the sphere and you go through the center over here, you now have a completely obverse orientation, and so down is really only towards the middle. You can only ever be whatever it is, 1,600 miles to the center of the ball.
It seems very magical.
Yeah, very occultic. And it's like, well, okay, we've only ever been down 8 miles, right? Or officially,
yeah.
I would say it's 3 or 4 times that, right? Say it's 50 miles down. Say it's 60 miles down. You know, how many huge cavernous civilizational possibilities could be completely beneath our feet that we really have no idea, other than this kind of like, you know, kind of cockamamie, unproven model about, you know, molten magma that's so somehow gravitized around a massive exploding fart fireball in the middle of our solar system. You know, that's the whole idea with the rotation and, you know, the ecliptic plane and all this stuff. It's like it's all based upon a magma ball at the center of a bigger ball that's its molten quality somehow has an inner spatial magnetism that is drawn towards this other larger body. And it's like,
I just want to know,
this is ball worship.
I just want to know at what point do you gain enough mass to start to attract bodies of matter?
Right,
and
yeah,
have gravity.
Yeah, there is no ability to independently isolate this alleged mechanic that happens on this cosmic scale that is impossible to isolate.
Yeah.
You can't isolate the phenomena of what's being relied on as the only basis by which this model can possibly make sense. There's no way to isolate the key phenomena. Like I can't, for example, with sufficient force, explode a hammer beyond the speed of sound towards Jupiter, which they allege is a huge planet way out there. You know, like I cannot test the quote-unquote gravity of any of these other planets.
Right.
You can only use just so stories and assumptions as to what the effects are of any of these other bodies. And the problem there is it just becomes another pattern of belief, another form of power of suggestion to inure the mind to imagine alternatives, to completely deaden the sensibility that, you know, maybe there's a better, broader ranging explanation for this other than everything's reducible to, you know, micro and macro atomistic ball dynamics that we imagine must be taking place, even though we can't experience any of it. You know, and this is part of the scientific subversion of the human imagination, of what constitutes knowledge. What's the difference between episteme?
Thank you for calling Call-In Studios
and
host and call
doxa.
screener. Please enter your show or meeting number and press pound. That was an invalid number. Please re-enter your show or meeting number, followed by the pound key.
Are they still there?
They call back.
Enter your 6-digit PIN number.
But the connection, the host connection dropped.
Oh.
That was an invalid PIN for Zetetic newscast. Please re-enter your 6-digit PIN. If you think you have reached... I'm sorry, that is not a valid PIN number for Zetetic newscast.
224.
Goodbye.
Okay, but see, the one of the problems with this animation, right, is he's upright on the top side, and he's going down in such a fashion, And what they really should be honest and objective about is showing the obverse orientation coming out the other side, but they automatically level it here as though it's upright. See? And that gives the ball this plausible deniability. But in point of fact, people who have subscribed to the globe model, they are definitively saying that there is an antipodal orientation of the observer. So in other words, there is objectively, on a discrete basis, on a geometric discrete basis, someone who is standing perfectly upside down from you somewhere. And that the up-down orientation is purely relative to the center of mass of the ball. But that means on a discrete basis, on the exterior, you'd have to have full wraparound oceans, rivers that are off camber from each other on a discrete surface basis. But that's not observable or measurable. It's always upright everywhere you go.
Right.
And there is no commiserate curvature
expressed in the physical phenomenon, basically.
Yeah, there's no...
i.e. bodies of water.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. And also, there are huge... massive amounts of square miles of
Thank you for calling Studios host screener line. Please enter your show or meeting number and press pound.
Sorry.
You know, you have the salt flats.
Enter your 6-digit PIN number.
And the Australian outback. You know, these are supposedly flat facets for, you know,
you did not enter a number.
Hundreds of square miles apart from each other. And we're just supposed to believe that they're just facets on the grand disco ball that is Earth, you know?
Right.
Because a disco ball...
That was an invalid pin for Zetetic.
Or like a golf ball, right? And the use of sphericity as a way of containing and reducing the concept basis for orienting ourselves in reality is a form of occult magic. It's not actual science. It's sophisticated power of suggestion through manufactured egregore, through a thought form that's familiar, and it's used as a way to cajole the mind into just conforming its contents to this model, to this basis, to this object form that isn't actually directly apparent in anyone's experience at any given time. It's just this hijack mechanism that takes over perceptions and associations in the real world and gives them a explanatory value that's foreign to the actual substance of the experience. And that's why it's occult magic. It's not actual science. The ball is there to hypnotize. It's there to mesmerize.
It's like a crystal ball.
It's like yes.
We're gonna imagine and envision
a palantir.
A palantir.
A palantir. And that we're all on Mothership Earth. You know, we're all in it together. It's part of this radical egalitarian delusion that, oh yeah, we're all the same, you know, accidental hairless ape, you know, dirtbag flesh suit virus that just slithers about on the surface with no ultimate meaning and no ultimate purpose.
Speaking of space, what was that body that was traveling towards the Earth that supposedly was supposed to potentially do something, blah blah blah?
Oh yeah, that's always been, you know, and if you see the movie Greenland, that movie shows you how they could pull off, not necessarily that, I mean, James was talking about the alien invasion route, right?
Yeah.
But perhaps a more desperate and potentially much more broad-ranging draconian crisis would be a worldwide asteroid scare. That they would have some kind of sophisticated weaponry and high-grade 16K, 24K imagery depictions in the sky of an actual asteroid coming
I think
to
now
destroy.
I think now that we've had Will Smith slapping Chris Rock.
Yep.
And now sexual assault allegations coming out against him from his one of his backup musicians, as well as all the weirdness with Jaden. The public will be much more willing to accept the narrative put out by Bruce Willis, who's suffering from dementia. We got this asteroid, we need to go blow it up. Armageddon, baby.
Yeah. Armageddon, and then
and
also
Aerosmith. Everybody loves Aerosmith.
Everyone loves Aerosmith.
Don't even want to close your eyes, whatever this is.
And actually, if you see the really artsy movie, I think it's called Melancholia, but I think it's Lars von Trier. Kirsten Dunst is in that one, and it's this whole debaucherous occult sort of symbolic movie about all the abandon and purge level carelessness that people will resort to once they realize everything's going to explode with the advent of this meteor that's called Melancholia.
Sounds like the fantasies of some very dark people.
Very dark people. And okay, but see, I mean,
they can't help but act them out and record them.
Yeah, but the movie, I think they're coming out with a sequel to Greenland, and if you haven't seen that one, it shows you how they can completely hierarchicalize and create a small core of humanity that gets selected, kind of like the Rapture, right? And then put them underground to withstand this massive cataclysm that's supposedly an asteroid or a meteor. And then, like Noah's Ark, right? The Noahide Age, they come out of the ground and they have to rebuild civilization, and anything that remains is for the taking of this new spark of humanity, right? That has to rise from the ashes, right? There's a lot of occult narratives with this asteroid theme, and
I think you have a very compelling theory. I mean, the whole, it's almost like a Christmas tradition to watch Independence Day. It's like
that's kind of the Project Bluebeam sort of depiction of what it might look like if they were to really try it.
It's hilarious actually to watch it, but in it, I watched a snippet here and there over the holidays, and it was funny to see, if you remember Will Smith's character, I forget his name, Agent whatever, his wife was a stripper, a dancer, and she's backstage with her her colleagues,
right,
in the dressing room, and they're all getting like make-upped up, and she's married to a Marine or an Air Force guy, right, who's tasked with this thing, and then the other strippers, they've got the signs like welcome home, like we love you, then they go get blasted. And I think that's literally where the public is with the alien issue. Like, you're gonna see if that's the card that they play. That's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see a huge public debate about, is this real? Is this fake? Is this good? Is this bad?
Right.
I'm gonna support it. I'm not gonna support it. It's gonna be a big divide conquer thing.
Right.
But if it's an asteroid, I think that's totally a different. That's a much more powerful. It actually has more power to unite. I think
unite, but then also
like the fascies
unite. Like the fascies.
It will bundle the rods together.
Yes, and
to achieve the goal.
And that if, for example, and then you already see this presaged by Musk, right? That, we can have universal high income if all we have to do is harvest one of these asteroids and bring it back.
Yeah, which...
Oh, wait a second. Well, have we explored everything that's on the surface? Or beneath the depths, for that matter? Probably not. But who knows? Maybe some of these boring expeditions and stuff have found deposits of materials that they don't even know how to value yet.
They have.
Yeah.
There are unbelievable cave structures.
Yeah. Huge. Absolutely unfathomably huge.
If you're, I'm kind of like a halfway like geode crystal rock. Like I collect a little bit here and there. You know, like gems and rocks and crystals and stuff. It's unfucking believable what is beneath our feet. These gigantic stalactite crystalline structures, and these are not. We're not discovering them for the first time. They've been inhabited. And like what we're being told is so
it's garbled.
I actually saw
it's not real science.
I saw gonna sound like such a pivot at first, but Zohar Mamdani in New York, he was posing in front
of the Lord Mayor.
He was posing in front of this underground subway hallway, passageway, and it said City Hall, and it was all tiled, and it looked disgusting. It was like they were in a Ninja Turtles sewer or something. There was slime, you know, and I was like, damn, that is, and
it's pretty grimy.
That's pretty grimy, and my wife said, yeah, I think that's like been a closed section, you know, and he's purporting to, like, you know, he's gonna revive it and bring new life to it, blah blah blah, and it made me think about the faulty construction narrative of the New York subways, and also like what are we being shown here? This like untapped infrastructure. It was a tiled, I mean, in its heyday it was probably beautiful, you know, and
well, there's all these towns in the Midwest where you have these historical documents of when it was founded, and it was just plain dirt that was there before, and they do some huge renovation or something downtown, and they're discovering layers of completed structures, you know, that completely defy the history books of the town. They literally don't have an explanation for it. They just try to hand wave away as like, oh yeah, I guess they did have some pretty advanced plumbing ideas way back in the day before we had our real city built on top of it all for some reason.
Had a real interesting way of
those are prohibition tunnels. that's one of the favorite ones that come up is, oh yeah, those were the bootleggers built those out of brick that doesn't exist anymore, and stone carving techniques that are difficult today with laser etching materials.
Did you hear, Xavier, that Hallmark is producing an on-site new Biltmore Christmas? They've already filmed one. I just learned about it, but they're doing a sequel, you know.
Why not?
A new Biltmore Christmas to give some fantasy softcore porn to the wishful middle class. What kind of fancy life they could live. But it's lipstick on a pig, you know, when it comes to excavating the true history of these massive constructions and
in a time
impossible engineering feats like the New York subway.
Absolutely baffling. And the idea is just that, well, we didn't have screens and porn back then, guys. We were just so much better and could focus all of our innate human power to accomplish things that we just can't even fathom really today. But even with sophisticated technology, we're gonna have a quote of 750 times the amount that it costed to build with inferior methods back then. I mean, the historical yarns that we have about architecture and cosmology and history and you know, the progression of science is almost entirely gerrymandered and manufactured at this point.
We talked a lot over the last going on 3 hours.
Oh wow! For real?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
11:45 Eastern. I think we should go a little longer.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, Xavier.
Here's the thing, man. I mean, didn't it come out that in Illinois, 42% of the Small Business Administration business loans in the middle to high category for gas stations, which is like usually at least $500,000 minimum for some of these gas stations, that 42% of them went to Indians, and they're only 2% of the population in Illinois. So can we extrapolate that over all 50 states, on top of all the daycare possibilities, and on top of all the Cloward and Piven on steroids?
I've said it so many times. You get more of what you subsidize.
Absolutely.
And if you subsidize, like,
how is this? This is basically mass scale reparations, though, right?
But
it's reparationism.
Okay. The government, which has been elected by the native population ostensibly, has made these loans available. I get criticizing the immigrant populations from taking advantage of it.
Sure.
But at what point do you hold the incumbent, the native population, responsible for not taking advantage of it as well?
And also just the fact of the institutionalized precedence of preferencing certain populations.
It shows a cultural difference.
Yeah.
And we commiserated about a term that I'd have to see if I can find it on Instagram. Let me see if I can. It'll be hard for me to see if I can find it. I sent it to you. It will be hard for me to find, but it was basically Jugaad.
Jugaad, yes.
Okay.
So
this is a term, Jugaad.
Jugaad.
It's an Indian term meaning clever. And there was a post that I shared with you. It'll be hard for me to find it. I didn't have it pulled up. But the Jugaad is a cultural term in India meaning clever, and it's revered as, like if in America, like you're clever, like that's a good thing. But what it translates to essentially is being able to game the system, being able to take advantage of the rules, which at a human level, I understand. Like, you want to get yours, you want to win, and if it's like I'm a professional salesperson, right? We have rules of engagement, we have compensation guidelines, and so you understand your comp plan, how to make the most money, and then you behave accordingly. So that's a natural reaction to the environment. The stimuli you've been given is like, you want to make the most money, that's your goal, here are the rules, this is how you make the most money, so there you behave accordingly. Likewise, Jugaad, I get it, but if that involves scamming and being dishonest and lying, well, that's not so good. That's not sustainable. That's not sustainable. So,
it's interesting. It kind of mirrors some of the stuff in the Talmud too, right? About how a Jew can lie to a non-Jew, and if
rules of deception,
not
engagement, but deception,
right?
Rules of deception,
what's
permissible and what's not in terms of trickery.
And that's the Mossad motto, right? We wage war through deception. By deception, we'll wage war. So it seems to be that's kind of what all these other populations have picked up on.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, yeah, let's just pile on to people who want to think better than what we're able to do. If people are giving us the benefit of the doubt and they think that they have all this, racial guilt complex and they're just giving away money to us, well, then absolutely, we're going to pile on to that. And we're going to say, yeah, you owe us $100 trillion in reparations because of our melanin count.
Right.
There's no bottom to it, in other words. And that's why you shouldn't. I mean, we've basically made this case that during COVID they print all this money. Why are we still paying taxes? If they can fund all government operations through stimulus and printing,
and the 14 magical government money computers,
and the alphabet soup, infinite black hole budget agencies that can't account for any of their funds given to them because it's a private ledger. What is this? This is just a neo-feudal plantation. We're tax slaves on the welfare plantation, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's part of this Yuri Bezmenov, demoralization, destabilization, crisis, normalization. That we're now in the crisis mode of this particular sliver of the fraud, right? And so over the next 6 weeks, there might be grand gestures of accountability and blah, 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 blah. But I don't think really much is probably going to happen, ultimately, unfortunately. I think you might have trimming of the tall grass, right? You might have a few people that get held accountable for, fractions of what the implied grift is.
Well, it really is incumbent on the citizen population to see what will happen, because with these Somali, Minnesota revelations, I think people are becoming more attuned to their environment. I mean, I'm speaking personally. I have, since these revelations have come out and gone viral, I've started to notice,
pattern in practice.
Yeah, various childcare centers, and I'm not going to be laser focused. Like, if you've followed the show, like, we're not laser focused on any one thing. We're more broad based, spotlight on many things,
macro current events,
macro and micro,
and micro.
We try to zoom it in because
we do some zoom in.
My first reaction to the Minnesota revelations is like, this is not limited to Minnesota at all.
This is par for the course across the entire Western sphere.
I essentially immediately started to notice childcare centers around me, completely surrounding me, that have always been, if I really recollect, look like sad places.
At least.
They look like sad places. And then when I really think about it, I can't think about when I've seen kids playing on these playgrounds either.
Right.
And I'm not going to allege that any one of whatever I would disclose is like completely fraudulent without further investigation. But
However,
I did some light Googling on just a couple places like right near me.
Well, within 10 miles.
And I found very weird things, like they don't have websites. They don't have any Google reviews. If they do have Google reviews, they're very suspect.
There's no open enrollment periods.
There's no open enrollment periods. I've driven by these places. I haven't seen kids there, and I drive by them frequently. Never recollect seeing kids there. Some of the places lack windows. And then I can find on third-party websites allegations of abuse.
Right, and code failures
and multiple violations, to Nick Shirley's point. So it's that is literally just tip of the iceberg, and I think people on the right and the left are reckoning with that as we head into the new year. And I think if they continue down the rabbit hole, they're going to find like the fraud, like we've talked about, is completely incalculable. This healthcare
beyond
daycare thing is like peanuts. Like, look at the fucking moon landing. Look at
the Ukraine war.
Look at NASA. Look at the Ukraine war. Look at Obamacare. Look at the National Defense Authorization. All the defense contracts that go out, and the
war on terror.
It's unbelievable.
That benefited nobody except our greatest ally.
Right.
Okay.
I want to play
this. The Pentagon failed audits for the past 20 years.
Right. I want to play this clip. I have to take a bio break myself, but like, this is just a glimpse. This is just one facility that we're talking about.
Scam. Go ahead and play that clip there.
In December of 2021, the FBI installed a surveillance camera overlooking this building just off Lake Street in Minneapolis. At the time, it was Safari Restaurant, which overall took in $12 million in federal child meal payments through Feeding Our Future. Safari's former co-owner, Salim Saeed, is on trial alongside Amy Bach, the Feeding Our Future executive director. Safari claimed to feed 4,000 to 6,000 kids a day. Its invoices and meal counts shown to the jury alongside the video. An FBI agent testifying that an average of 40 people came and went during the 6 weeks it was surveilled. The FBI set up a total of 12 cameras at sites claiming to serve extraordinary numbers of meals. Another was at a deli in St. Paul, also registered by defendant Salim Saeed, which claimed 1,800 meals per day. The video, shown to the jury, showed an average of 23 people a day coming and going. The jury was shown dozens of invoices, meal counts, and emails seized from Feeding Our Future's headquarters in St. Anthony. Some showed links to websites that randomly generated names and ages to create rosters of children who were served meals. Many were signed or sent by Amy Bach, who's charged with wire fraud, along with bribery for the alleged kickbacks that she received. Her defense attorney tried to raise doubt when it cross-examined the FBI agent, that they didn't see the back entrance where it's possible meals left packed in trucks for delivery. He pushed back, insisting they'd still see congestion. To that volume, he said, I would say it would not make any sense.
That case became one of the biggest COVID-era frauds in America. And the kicker, Minnesota's own Department of Education had red flags. Massive spikes in reimbursement requests, impossible meal counts, and they still rubber stamped the paperwork. Now, this new audit proves what everyone with a brain has been saying for years. Incompetence starts at the top. When the governor's own office is sloppy with receipts, how can he possibly keep his agencies in line? Republican Senate leader Mark Johnson said it perfectly. Quote, sloppy accountability at the top breeds waste and abuse everywhere else. And he's right about that. You cannot preach fiscal responsibility when you are overpaying employees, losing state property, and mismanaging vendor payments. And it's not just the Feeding Our Future mess. We've also got the Autism Services fraud case, another multi-million-dollar scam in the same state, involving clinics billing for therapy that never happened. And to make it worse, some of those same providers were linked to the Feeding Our Future network. It's the same pattern: inflated invoices, non-existent oversight, and zero accountability.
It's actually worse than that.
It is.
It's way, way, way worse than that. It's not just incompetence.
Just the
beginning. This is calculated pillaging and clearing the coffers.
Backdoor
reparationism. This is tribalism, not having a frame of reference for fraud. Because fraud is just the complaint of the person that's being pillaged. But if the person that's being pillaged is the fault for all of historical wrongs, then why would you blame the tribe for getting their slice? Why would you blame the tribe for
just getting yours?
Just getting theirs.
Just getting yours.
Yeah. So these cultures that have been imported, they don't have probably much of a concept of fraud, since they have this big chip on their shoulder that if they can get away,
it's not fraud if I feel like I'm owed it.
Right.
It's
not fraud if I feel like I'm owed it to begin with.
If I feel like I was already stolen from.
Right. And if we've been disseminating this kind of neo-Marxist idea that there is no innocence without guilt, right? That every single person who populates the West is a colonizer and an oppressor. Well, it doesn't matter that the so-called settlers and pioneers that crossed over the oceans from Europe and encountered nothing but basically wilderness here and built all of the infrastructure that we have today. Oh, that's just equivalent at best to people who just want to come over here and live off of welfare to the tune of millions of dollars a year. And this whole idea, you know, it's like clockwork, right? The lefties are trying to come in and try to debunk this, right? By saying, oh, well, he went there not during business hours, and there's some kids there, and hey, you know, this is not very fair. Why don't you crack down on some other people? It's like, well, wait a second. No.
Yo.
This is absolutely institutionalized systemic moral hazard. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this.
This is so in your face.
It's so in your face.
It's so in
Right.
your face.
It's flagrant.
It's flagrant. And I want to play a clip. This is...
and it's like, just because kids are there, it doesn't mean fraud isn't happening. Doesn't mean mass grift isn't occurring.
You know, I've heard one of the rebukes or the rebuttals of this expose is, well, do this investigation or do that investigation, which is purported to be, I guess, a MAGA,
more important,
a MAGA related thing, and it's like that's more tribalism essentially.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
That's
what about this
misdirection.
Epstein fraud? This is a distraction for the Epstein fraud, and it's like
it's all interlocking.
Hey, they can be both. We can have both.
It's both and, guys.
Like it's both and. Like. It's
not either or.
I love it when a hypocrite tries to expose me as a hypocrite because I have an opportunity to show that I have integrity.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and defend Trump's involvement in Epstein.
Absolutely
like,
not.
Give me a break.
He's clearly
you think
complicit.
you think you're gonna catch me on that?
No.
Give me a break.
No.
Like I can sit here and criticize the shit going down in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
The same as I can criticize. I can be both.
Yeah.
Trump and Epstein.
It's not an either or.
You know.
They're not mutually exclusive. They're interlocking.
Didn't you
actually.
hear? Didn't you hear? I didn't vote.
No,
I didn't vote. Okay, I absolve myself.
It's like
I remain an impartial observer of events, and I will judge based on what I see and what I think.
Right.
Not what I'm supposed to or what I'm told to think.
The very resources that could be used to encourage population growth amongst the heritage population is being siphoned away and remitted away to populations that have no ultimate allegiance.
Invaders, to the invaders.
Who have no ultimate allegiance.
Yeah. So I want to play.
That is flagrant, and it does need to be addressed, but it's also not isolated. It's an interlocking facet of the foreign occupied government that has been at the helm since at least 9/11.
At least.
You could really argue before then.
That.
It really was before that because you wouldn't have had 9/11
but it wasn't,
without the prior
it wasn't
infiltration.
overtly stated.
But it wasn't overtly stated. But we contend, and I think the data backs us up.
Project for a New American Century.
Project, exactly. The Greater Israel Project.
The Club of Rome.
The Bilderberg
Group.
Foundation, right. I mean, these are all interlocking...
Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation.
Interlocking boards that have had a long-term neo-Bolshevik agenda to basically break the back of America using Cloward and Piven-style strategies, implementing Fabian socialism at first, and then authoritarian collectivist socialism through tribalism and draconian identitarianism later on, and that's the phase we're in now, is draconian identitarianism, where they fragment the population and try to get everyone at each other's throats so that they can consolidate more control over the financial, economic, and political apparatus de jour. And it's through that, just like James was talking about, that four-phase process that Yuri Bezmenov talked about. The demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. And you dovetail that in actually with the first mention that I did about the 7 cycles of civilization by Polybius. We're in the democracy devolving into mob rule phase, because what other possibility are we going to have?
It drives me crazy.
What other possibility are we going to have from these kind of developments?
He's threatening our democracy.
No,
I don't want it.
No, all of the completely unassimilated, chip on the shoulder populations that have been imported here. I mean, we're talking about more than 20+% at this point of the U.S. population is people who've been imported within the last 15, 20 years. I mean, that's staggering. I mean, we're talking close to 80 million people who, a substantial fraction of which don't even really identify as Americans.
Well,
the only reason why they identify as Americans is to extract benefits from the welfare state.
The influx has come commensurate with a declination in the stringent requirements of allegiance.
Well, yeah, because there isn't any. It's just, if you get here, then your uncle and the rest of his extended family can come too, and we'll teach them how to best navigate the labyrinthine, Cloward and Piven welfare strategy that's worked for the past 2 generations that's lived here.
You know, the leftist passerby would look at me and suggest that I'm anti-immigrant, but I'm the subject. I'm the product of immigration. My grandmother immigrated here at the age of 17 in the 1950s from Ireland, coming from dirt floors, no plumbing or electricity or running water. And she describes the stringent requirements she had to fill to actually become a citizen. Number one, just to immigrate here, she had to have a sponsor, which was a direct familial link, someone who was already here as a citizen who would agree to house them and basically act as a co-signer on the immigration process, so that if she failed to fulfill the requirements of the citizenship trajectory, she would be responsible for sending her back and deporting her own kin, essentially, for not abiding by the requirements laid out from the immigration process.
Wow.
Now compare that to what we see now. And this is a woman, she's still alive and is flabbergasted at the what is currently going on. She's, you know, you would say she's a white, racist, anti-immigrant, but she's an immigrant herself.
That remembers, used to be requirements for naturalization.
Yeah.
Not just this carte blanche temporary protected status where you could tap into billions in wealth.
She hates the fact that she knows her grandchild, me, and her great grandchildren are essentially footing the bill for a carte blanche, blank check immigration policy that lets anyone from without having to fulfill, like, you had to have a productive capacity. You had to have an ability to support yourself to come here. Now, we are subsidizing. We are supporting.
Yeah, we're basically
footing the bill.
The United States is a vassal state of these foreign occupied power broker lobbies that control our government. That's the only reason why these huge population blocks are here at all. Whether they're from India or Latin America or Somalia or Africa.
It's a currency of money that flows back to their homeland.
Yeah. They remit huge percentages of the welfare that they receive. It doesn't
Yeah.
even stay in the country.
Right.
And part of that could go to all kinds of violent,
Sure.
organizations and outfits that are actively trying to
Yeah.
wreak havoc and destroy parts of the very regime that are giving them these welfare payouts. So it's an accelerated attack vector that I kind of sympathize with people who see it as an invasion strategy, ultimately, to create a more easily managed population that's one, less intelligent, and two, more used to being abused from a socialist, statist, centralized.
Well, you look at some of the
standpoint.
Nick Shirley videos where he goes and he interacts
Oh,
with
yeah,
people
there's-
who answer the door, and they
Oh,
look
dear.
like they've been abused.
Sure,
they're literally in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
I want to play a couple clips back to back, just to highlight the tactics that are being waged right now to combat any sort of criticism or questioning,
quelling dissent.
Quelling
Yeah.
dissent. This is a gentleman who claims to manage one of these daycares that's been the subject of scrutiny. And then I want to play his clip, and then I want to play a content creator's take on this clip, because I think he makes a very, very good point about local politics and how they think and how they are approaching not just this subject, but really any subject when it comes to perception formation.
Yeah, and perception management and the Delphi method.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, they do this with the water boards.
Yeah,
This
everywhere,
is a tried
anywhere
and
in
true
local
practice.
politics,
Everywhere.
you're going to see this.
Yeah.
So here's the source video.
Called by the owner because
Let me refresh it so we get it from the beginning.
I was called by the owner because unfortunately someone came in to our daycare. We looked and saw what happened, and we saw that the suspect came in from the back, broke in from the back kitchen, and he also
supposed to believe this.
Destroyed the wall to come in. As we walked around the daycare, we saw that our office doors was broken into as well. We saw that, unfortunately, we saw that there was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone. There were also checkbooks that were ripped from our check papers that were ripped from our book.
Such valuable information.
This is devastating news, and we don't know why this is targeting our Somali community, as one video made by a specific individual made this all happen.
Oh.
We've been receiving hateful messages through our voice notes threatening us since the past couple of days, including one that happened yesterday morning when after the break-in. This is frightening and exhausting because this is happening to us Somali communities as Somali Americans. We are supposed to stand with each other and help each other through everything that's happening. This is also sad that a video can cause all of this. I want to say that there are hundreds
There's a
of
video,
daycares
regardless of what it depicts. A video. A video.
out there,
It's
Somali
basically-
daycares that are out there, and we all help our children and everyone in our community. We have high quality daycares, and this is very sad news that one individual who made a false claim about fraud that is happening in the daycares how engaged everyone else to come and do this to us. Yes.
Yo, first of all, why is he managing a daycare? Like, look at this
Right.
guy. Like, this is not
This is not his natural wardrobe, probably either.
No.
This looks like a
A
costume
costume.
job.
But like, I'm sorry, but like daycares are like women spaces, basically. They tend to gravitate towards this kind of work. And like, why is this? How old is this kid right here? And he's the manager of a daycare. Like, he can barely talk. So I want to play Rob Smith online, or Can't Cancel Rob. He's a conservative commentator, he makes a very salient point about local politics, which we have
trying to muddy the waters, so to speak. Yeah.
Ali scammer in Minnesota. Some like Somali scammer in Minnesota to try to pretend that their daycare center got broken into and that somebody had like stolen files or something like that. This kid has like a 3rd grade speaking level, and so they pop a New York Yankees cap on him, all right, to make him seem Black American. This is the most Democrat city council idea, Mickey Mouse ass media bullshit I have ever seen in my life.
So true.
And what
Seriously.
you guys don't understand about
Definitely
people that work in
costume
local
days.
politics is like they have no idea. Like they think that everybody else is as dumb as they are. This is without a doubt the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Will go nowhere, is laughable. And this is how stupid, not national Dems, because they would never be stupid enough to try to pull some shit like this. Like, this is how dumb local Dems think you are. They found some, like, Somali scam.
He is so right about
No,
that.
absolutely. It's all about shoving it in your face and playing on the precedent of how they've been able to manipulate people before.
We have come against this. When I saw this video, I was like, "Oh my god, he's actually been involved at some point."
Oh, sure.
Because unless you have been involved, you wouldn't know that what he's saying is so true. Like local politics, and I wouldn't even couch it as Dems. Like on both sides, they think you're as dumb as they are, and they pull all kinds of hijinks. I will say the Dems tend to be more ham-fisted in their attempts to counter points, but like you and I will never forget the local water boards. I mean, we have so many stories of
incredible evil,
this kind of hijinks going on. Like, I remember the oral health section chief of North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services going around to the local water boards and arguing before a closed door committee that we need to continue to fluoridate the water supply, because if we don't, the fluoride will not be present in the Coca-Colas that everybody's drinking. And if we do that, oh my gosh, the cavities that will come about. Like, we have to do it
for the people in need.
For the people in need, all the Coca-Cola they drink, and it's like, you're the oral health section chief, and this is the best advice you've got. You can't suggest avoid the Coca-Cola, the highly corrosive, acidic, sugar-laden concoction of big corporate food.
It doesn't even have the good stuff in it anymore.
It doesn't even have the good stuff in it anymore. It has all the bad stuff, which is they're making their formula with municipal tap water,
and
which includes heavy metals and hydrofluorosilicic acid, and they do all kinds of shit like this, like
that provably erodes IQ.
Like they when I first went to the city council on fluoride, the next week or so, when the local newspaper reported on it, they said high school graduate so and so, I'm not going to say my real name, but like the high school graduate so and so, and I had graduated college. I didn't care about that. Like, you didn't need to call me a college graduate either. Like, you could just say local activist
or local resident,
Durham County citizen,
right,
you know, said such and such. Like, why are you couching? Why are you trying to categorize
throw shade.
Throw shade essentially. And this is how dumb they think you are.
Yeah.
Is like
that you're going to pick up on that shade that's being thrown and just completely
join on
ignore.
the bandwagon.
Right,
you know,
right. And this is a tried and true practice. It's just character assassination, basically. And with this, with what you're talking about, but then this whole like costume job of trying to muddy the waters, right? these are folks, just because they have a similar melanin count to so-called African Americans, in no way, shape, or form means they should be equated with such.
Right.
And I've seen all kinds of, folks being like, this is kind of bullshit. Like, it actually delegitimizes some of the grievance politics that many blacks are kind of vulnerable to espousing. That it kind of discredits some of that historical stuff when you have these kind of scamsters, interacting within the midst and being like, oh, well, we're part of the oppressed minority in this country too, and that sort of political
Can
tactic,
I just bring my oppression to the country and get some money?
Bingo, baby.
Yo, I got some oppression.
Yeah. But see, where can I go to North Africa and cite like the Barbary slave trade of Europeans from as recently as the 1930s?
I think the difference is there's no money to be taken.
Ah, okay, yeah. It all got aggregated into the Rothschild, Rockefeller, BlackRock combine.
Mm-hmm.
That's now tactically and strategically deploying it to these ends.
Right.
That you see contextualized in various kind of rage bait videos, but they don't give you the full picture. It's like the very forces that are responsible for the onshoring of these welfare attack vectors. They're the very people who are telling people to just look on the bright side of life. Oh, the markets will continue to go up. Don't you worry your little head. Just keep working on the tax plantation. Keep contributing to your 401ks. Don't you withdraw too much money out of the bank. These Somali daycares, it's just racists that are having a problem with it. Everyone needs an education. We're all the same. We're all interchangeable. Don't you love it? Everyone's an American. The whole world over. Anyone who wants to be here, who likes fun things and pleasures and comforts, welcome to America. Where we are the economic zone, and we'll give you anything you want as long as you make us feel bad enough. I mean, that's the message that we've sent. And in a way, I kind of can't blame some of these populations.
No, I mean, I've said it before. Compensation drives motivation, and
you get more of what you subsidize.
You put some cheese out, and
I'm gonna want some caviar.
You're gonna look for some caviar, some milk after that,
and heck, maybe a Bentley, and maybe a mansion, and maybe a yacht, and maybe political influence, and maybe complete tribal takeover of a territory. Because hey, what's stopping me?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? I'm gonna get mine.
Everyone wants to get theirs.
I mean,
we're all human after all.
Put yourself in their shoes. I mean, I really can't blame them. I don't blame them. That's where I think the key in terms of rectifying this situation, the keystone. The keystone discussion that needs to be had is around competence versus corruption.
Right. Versus
because
complicity, right? Complicity.
There's no way. It's just like 9/11. There's no way these I could play the clip again if you were listening. You already heard it. This kid was masterminding anything.
No.
He was aided and abetted.
Okay.
Similar to 9/11.
Absolutely.
It was not a bunch of cave dwellers who conspired and overcame the most well-defended airspace in the entire world. They were aided and abetted.
They were convenient little operant scapegoats.
Tyler Robinson,
did
not act alone to kill Charlie Kirk. If
He's a patsy.
Charlie Kirk was killed,
if he was even killed,
and
there's
all bets are off in this age of AI. You can't you cannot take it. If it was true before, which we have advocated since our inception, you cannot take what you see at face value.
Absolutely
and you
not.
have to question everything.
Pretty much.
Nobody can afford to do that anymore. Like in today, I don't think anybody will argue because AI has become so convincing. And if you are listening to the background music or you heard it earlier, I included a couple AI generated genre bending musical numbers.
Which, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of doing it too. I mean, the mimicry's off the charts.
The creative capability of AI, it's like, I'm actually not opposed to it
as a tool
philosophically. It's kind of like, you know, you'll have your Luddites who are opposed to it out of principle, but to me they're the same or no different than those who were opposed to Photoshop versus the Red Room.
Or, for example, the classic car. You don't really know how to drive a car unless you're driving a manual at all times.
Right. And I think it doesn't have to be either or. It can be an and situation.
Right.
We can appreciate those things. We can also appreciate the new. And the AI, I mean, I use it all the time, like the creative capability, the acceleration of knowledge sharing, and
template streamlining,
eliminating grunt work. I mean,
cutting out tedium.
You know, I appreciate somebody who hand weeds their garden, but if we create a robot that does it for us, like I'm gonna enjoy that too.
Don't get me wrong, there's some ripped guys with scythes out there cutting their lawn that way.
Right.
I mean,
right. Good for you. I have a manual push mower that's not. There's no motor. It's just one of those circular blade things.
Hey, that's pretty
it's
close.
Fun. It's
that's
fun
pretty
and
close.
it's satisfying.
Yeah,
you know,
you actually get a good sweat out of it.
But like you get the guy using the scythe, and he's like, oh, you're cheating, you know?
Right.
And it's like it's always that. That's the thing with technology is it always challenges the earlier adopters of the previous generation, you know.
I mean, how many Gen Zers know how to drive a manual car? Probably less than 2%.
And you can hardly blame them because they don't make them.
Because they don't hardly make them anymore. Yeah. Exactly.
And I was taught manual. That was my first, and I appreciate that.
Me too.
I would actually like to have.
I would like to go back and get a manual.
If I could have a 2018 Tahoe with all the advanced, this and that, but with a manual,
stick.
hell yeah,
heck yeah, dude.
Even just the paddles, like if I could get that kind of control, you know. But I like the stick.
It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the thing about AI is like, again, we've gone into the acronym itself. I mean, it's not really artificial intelligence.
No,
like that's kind of a misnomer. It's like a lot of stuff in the mainstream political discussion. All the titles and all the things that stuff is called, it's euphemisms and misnomers everywhere. I mean, the reality is like, it's not really intelligence. And what's the it's the mid 20th century paradox. What is it? Is that Boryani? Humans know more than we can say. Right? We have an intuitive basis to do things almost from a second nature standpoint that we can't actually very easily forensically define on a technical, mechanical basis. Whereas AI is kind of the opposite. It says everything, but it knows nothing. It's not real knowledge. It's just iterative, algorithmic, formulaic relay of electrical signal mimicry.
It's advanced statistics, basically.
Yes.
It's vector math, as I understand it.
Yeah.
There are positions assigned to every letter and word, and the correlation that happens in LLMs is a proximity distance calculation and relation made between the words and the sentences, and that's how it imitates understanding of sentiment.
Right.
In terms of, you know, the closeness of the various words and phrases to each other.
And extremely sophisticated probability matrices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which are increasingly, you know, and where it gets really wonky, and I'd love to understand more, is like machine vision and understanding, because I'm experimenting with these AIs all the time, and they are increasingly impressive in terms of their ability to extract sentiment from images
and to sort of collate and anticipate a certain kind of call and response mechanism amongst the input provider.
Right.
You know, the more input you give it, the more it can iterate different manifestations. But there's some evidence to suggest that all it's really doing is kind of mimicking the intonation or mimicking the pre-existing bias of the input value.
Well, absolutely. And I maintain multiple long-term ongoing discussions with AI around my various professional endeavors, to the extent that they have I ask it to incorporate in its memory entire discussions that I have with other individuals, so that I can query it in the future about strategy and what to do next and this and that. And what I've found is that it's entirely limited to the input.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
it even often loses sight of prior input to the extent that I have to remind it of things that it overlooks, which, you know, may be corrected in a future algorithm, you know, algorithm update or you know, logic update, whatever you call it. I'm not a software engineer, but you know, it's not perfect in any way, and neither is, and that's actually the founder of the company I work for. They've created a internal chat that pulls data from our various systems and allows you to query it. And so oftentimes what happens is I have a question and I want to talk to a colleague about how to solve the problem that I have. And I call them and then they say, have you asked, and I won't say the name of the chat because I don't want to expose myself, but it's the company name chat. Let's just say Facebook chat. So you go ask Facebook chat and you ask it and it gives you an answer and you're just supposed to go with that. And but it's been wrong a number of times, and people have brought this to various like all hands discussions to the founder, and he said, well, humans aren't correct 100% of the time either. The question is, how often is it correct? If it's 90+% of the time, we're still doing pretty good. Like, go with that.
Yeah, but the problem with that is then our own ability intuitively to discriminate fuzzy answers gets hand waved away entirely due to sheer statistical probability that whatever the output value is or whatever the prompt response is must be beating human intuition at some, you know, high probability rate.
Otherwise, what are you paying me for?
Right. And it's
my ability to discern what should and shouldn't be done is why I'm employed.
Right.
Like you hired me for my decision-making capacity, and ostensibly everybody around me for the same. Why am I not getting answers from them?
Right.
instead it's this repository which we're led to query, but is subject to hallucination.
Because there's no intuitive framework. That's why it's not real intelligence. You know, it's artificial in the sense that it's a electro, mechanism of hyper collative iteration. You know, that's extremely sophisticated. There's no doubt about it. However, it has no independent origin of thought. There's no independent origin of thought. AI cannot cogitate independent of some kind of pre-existing input value. That's why you really can't call it intelligence. It's more like
it's advanced search.
It's advanced iteration is maybe a better AI moniker. It's advanced iteration. Because you don't have to go, you don't have to comb through manually Google anymore to get the top 100 pages. AI is going to give you that summarization very quickly, and so it's a useful tool. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't still sleuth out the bottom 70.
That's actually one of the features of this internal corporate chat that I like, is that it gives you its summarization, but then it provides sources to back up.
Right, and then you can go into the sources and be like, oh, here's where the bias is coming in.
Right,
AI can't necessarily detect the inherent human bias at play here, or the epistemological shortfalls. Again, it's the, I want to say his name was Michael Biryani, but he was like a systems thinker, programmer type in the 1950s, 1960s. Thinker, you know, he was more than just a technologist. But he came up with this idea that humans know more than we can state or say, and that's what gives us innate intelligence above these iterative systems that are trying to kind of mimic or counterfeit our intelligence in a way.
Right.
And again, unfortunately, we live in a system where humans have accepted all kinds of counterfeit for so long that we can't necessarily discriminate real intelligence from
here's the
counterfeit
thing.
intelligence.
The last 30 years at least, we have seen and experienced and in some ways enjoyed the computerization of our behavior. So the first step was training us to behave like machines, interacting with machines, making our output the input of computers, to teach the computers how to be like us. And there's a middle ground there where we're part computer, they're part human. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
And so, like, there's a lot of tasks, especially since we've had the offshoring of human tasks like manufacturing, which, let's be real, robotics is advancing and getting more advanced, but it's still not like an artisan, not a human artisan. There's a lot more mimicry to be done, but that's already been offshored. So what do we have left? White collar jobs.
Polanyi's paradox. That's what it was.
The white collar jobs are much more systematized, much more drudgery, much more, and some might refute this by saying, well, we'll look at an assembly line and the repeatability of those tasks, and robots can easily, and that's true, but like we don't even have that because it's been offshored already. So it's white collar job. That's the main, that and service economy, that and defense contracting. That's our GDP in the country. I mean, we have manufacturing base, and one could argue that's growing or whatever, like some stuff's coming back on shore, blah blah blah, but like the white collar jobs, the repetitious process based like jobs that are really like, really, you're just clicking this button a bunch of times. AI can do that. AI can do that. They can do it at like 99.999% accuracy. That is subject to be replaced.
Right.
And
And they want to kind of, we're still in the sale phase of like,
Oh,
no,
sure.
no, it's not going to terminate jobs in toto. It's just going to enhance people who are savvy.
Absolutely. And that's 100% true. And you'll see the sales pitch being, without giving too much away, look, we're not gonna eliminate headcount here.
No, this is not about human obsolescence.
We're not gonna eliminate headcount here. Don't you want, like, the people you've hired, don't you want them to be doing more strategic things? Don't you want them to be doing more valuable things? Instead of maintaining the pipes, so to speak, don't you want them to be doing more advanced analytics? Don't you want them to be doing more strategic tasks? That's literally the pitch. What the quiet part, which is going to go unsaid, is that, man, we have vast efficiencies to offer you. And with those efficiencies, you don't have to hire, you don't have to pay these people anymore to do what you've had them do for however long and into the future. And you can reallocate the capital to bigger, better things.
Well, see, and this is why here's
and in a sense, I mean,
I would. Okay,
do we need to be doing this drudgery? Do we need to be doing these repetitious tasks? Like, if we can do it more efficiently, yeah. But who's the beneficiary of that?
Right.
It's like Elon Musk talking about, oh, we'll have universal income and robots will do everything for us, and it's like,
yeah,
what?
Like,
who's going to pay for that?
Right. Well, and it's also like, is it going to be this two-tier system that we already have, where only certain populations get the first flow of the goodies, and other less desirable populations?
Yeah, maybe for your class, Elon, you'll get all the robots, and it'll be a universal income for y'all, where you don't have to do anything, and everything's taken care of, and everything's luxury, and everything's amazing.
Well, he already lives like that, you know. I mean, it's like he lives in a completely separate. He's in that I-shaped economy, that lowercase I-shaped economy. You know, he's already removed from the plebs. Did you see that video where he was interviewed by that gal, and she's like, "So, what would you do right now in this economic environment if you only had $1,000 to your name?"
I did not.
And he was like, "Well, that would have to be like an apocalypse or something." Like everything would have to be basically Mad Max and collapse at that point, and I'm not here to envision that. And it's like, Elon, you know, there's like dozens of millions of people in America right now that are like that, right? He's like, well, you know, that's just,
he's out of touch.
He's just completely out of touch. The guy is oblivious. And
yeah, but then they'll say, oh, he lives in a little apartment or whatever. And he's supposedly lives. It's like Warren Buffett. He drives the same Volvo from the 80s and all this shit.
Blah. Yeah.
Okay. Cry me a river. Like, you know, you're almost a trillionaire.
Right.
Give me a break. Like, okay. You choose to
be minimalistic,
but like you don't have any kind of anxiety whatsoever about anything financial.
We have no real world relatability. So that's the problem with taking advice from these kind of folks. And the other thing is, like, last I checked, you kind of like Warren Buffett only have your money because you're inside baseball. You have all these no-bid contracts and like monopolies essentially in providing services to the government, and that's how you got your big launch. And you know, last I checked, that's basically the same thing as the Cantillon effect. You know, Richard Cantillon, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but I think it's Cantillon. Before Adam Smith, before Ricardo, he's like, one of the big problems with this coming capitalist system, which when he was writing, it was still mercantilism. And he was like, look, if we're going to organize societies based on money distribution, whether it's sound or fiat or whatever, the people who have the closest purview and access to newly printed monies are going to be able to act on assets quicker. And then they get to precipitate a bullwhip effect amongst the rest of the population who will not receive the same kind of gains and benefit that the people who are closest to the money printer get to experience. Enjoy. And so the same thing is going to happen with AI and robotics. It's chromatistics. It's the same principle of whoever's closest to the robot printer is going to get the best benefit. And if you've seen them, you know, we've gone through a couple of these different transhumanist films that have come out and really kind of put the full gamut in front of us. I do think in our lifetimes we will see replicants that are basically
they're already out there.
Yeah, they're already out there. I mean, we're going to see full-on replicant everything. I think OnlyFans will eventually be completely obsolete. You will have full replicant brothels, as depicted in the film The Beast, and it won't be considered quote-unquote human rights abuses because whatever happens to those robots, well, they're just machines.
They already have massive factories of like child
heinous
sex.
Heinous.
Yeah, and machines that are connected to the internet for artificial sex and VR.
Right.
It's truly Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Nightmare material.
Right,
basically.
and that's going to be the slop that we have to contend with. Meanwhile, the people who can afford the $2 million perfect AI robo assistant that never has to sleep and only has to charge for 90 minutes,
right,
in order to be fully functional, they're going to be able to have access to those robots. But we're going to have to deal with all the social fallout.
It's like it's like the technocrats, they promote AI as this panacea oasis of automation and efficiency, but like any corporate stuffed suit, they leave the quiet part unsaid, which is for who is this great system going to serve? There is no way it will be unleashed to the benefit of the masses, just like weather modification. It is purported to, and it will be promoted as this great, amazing innovation that enables us to stabilize things and prevent extreme events, blah, blah, blah. But it will be classified in its nature and its development and execution, and will never be democratized in a way that truly benefits in the way that you might envision. Like with weather modification, turning the desert green, increasing productivity and abundance of food. Likewise with AI, like
normalizing worldwide temperatures.
Yeah.
Right.
So Sally in accounting, she loses her job because AI can do it better for cheaper. But does she get a pension? Is
there a stock market anymore at that point?
Right.
Or does the Aladdin bot basically just dole out and distribute according to its hyper algorithms and its quadrillions of dollars that it manages? I mean, do we even need capitalism and industry anymore at its logical
one
extent?
wonders. One wonders. I mean, it is truly the Star Trek scenario of replication and manifestation of matter. I actually I do have a place in my mind for a scenario where we become so materially abundant that the monetary system becomes obsolete. Like,
Right.
I actually advocate for that future.
Yeah.
Because I see the monetary system as a key tool of enslavement.
Sure it is.
And subjugation, and actually suppression of technology, innovation,
A driver of disparity and actual
Yeah.
immiseration amongst more and more people, while certain cadres and cliques and enclaves become absurdly, delusionally removed.
an Elysium scenario
And,
is
yeah.
engendered by this type of system.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it makes you think, like, we've actually never had a free market. We've never had a truly direct rule of the people, for the people, by the people. We've never had any of it. And so, going back to the 7 stages, what if this fake democracy that we've had all along is really just the oligarchy? What if it's really just the oligarchy trying to sell us a counterfeit people rule? What if we're not at the mob rule? What if we're still in the oligarchy phase and we've actually never fully experienced a real democracy, a real rule of the people, for the people, by the people? Like, is it possible that we're not even there yet? We're still in the oligarchy phase from the aristocracy.
Well, I feel like whatever we're
It's a
taught,
hybrid,
whatever
maybe.
we're taught in the public schools must be mythology,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
They don't teach you about the Federal Reserve. They
Nope.
don't teach you about the Illuminati influence over the American Revolution. They don't teach you about what happened exactly in Reconstruction. They don't teach you exactly what happened with Martin Luther King's assassination, or JFK's assassination. They don't teach you about
the old world
They don't
infrastructure.
even teach you
yeah.
how to balance a fucking checkbook.
No.
So, naturally, and then you see, Ghislaine's daddy's involvement in the publication of America's textbooks.
Yeah.
So, like, they don't teach you about the real construction. Like, they should teach Egyptology, and my children just went through a semester of history where they talked about the ancient Egyptians, and the way they should be teaching it is in terms of inquiry.
Yeah.
Which is the tagline of Zetetic.news: to proceed by inquiry. We question everything, and people should question everything. Like, things should be taught through a skeptical lens of, this is what people say, XYZ. There's multiple variations, not this is how it is.
Right.
And here are the problems with each. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we just take Egypt, like, it's never, we don't know exactly how this shit was built, which is the honest answer. And the narratives presented as to how it was built, here are the problems with them.
Yeah.
That's not how it's taught.
No. Even though that is actual education,
Because it inspires further investigation and discussion and consideration.
And humility beyond belief, Like, you can believe a certain account or attestation as to what things might be, but you ultimately don't necessarily know. And I think that's ataraxia, aporia. These are important philosophical grounds for proper thought, basically. Proper analysis equals proper thought. And if you're not even privy to real analysis, what makes you think that any of your thoughts are actually yours?
Right.
And that's the problem with the mainstream gestalt and worldview is that it's just layer caked, regurgitated insanity, basically. Hyper iterated over every single field and category you can imagine, and the bottomless pit of absurdity is exactly that. It's never ending. You know, you peel back the onion, it's all layers, all the way to the core. There's no end to it.
You can keep peeling.
You can keep peeling. Same thing with this fraud thing. It's like, how far are you going to go back? How deep are you going to peel?
Right.
It's literally never ending, and it's been that way for a long time, especially since the creation of the fiat money system. It's enabled hundreds of trillions in fraud and confiscation and theft of real wealth, and the enablement of essentially infinite waste.
What would you call the instead of the Lumbee Indian tribe? What would be the ZNN tribe that we should start to lobby for federal recognition so we can open a ZNN casino?
Yes.
And a daycare.
Yeah, and a daycare. Absolutely, dude. I'm gonna call us the Zeteticist tribe. Yeah. You know, the
Zetubians.
These.
The Zetubians.
Yeah, the Zetubian. It's kind of like the Vril Society, right? You know. I mean, like, can we lobby for on occult? You know, magic?
Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
You know, I mean,
why not? Between our two families,
yeah.
I think we got enough.
We got people. And then we also
the smallest form of government is family, bro.
That's right.
So
that's exactly right. No, I mean, I'm in support of the ZNN casino. I think that's a good.
You can gamble Tfuel and
absolutely
and Bitcoin and silver dollars
and the more you can reference ZNN episodes, the higher your reward probability is going to be.
Absolutely.
You know? We could create all kinds of fun games out of that.
Well, we're at
I was blessed.
3 hours and 50 minutes of episode 55. We really appreciate you guys hanging in there. Thank you, James Iredale. You're the winner of the 444 Tfuel. Xavier, it's been awesome, man. Catching up.
Hell yeah.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Dude, you the man.
More to come in 2026. I'm optimistic.
Yes, cautious but optimistic.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be a lot of new disclosures, a lot of surprise events, everything ranging from massive market volatility to huge political revelations, all of the above. You know, there's some ominous signs within that. But at the same time, I think that sort of the great awakening part 2 is underway in a lot of ways. I think that people are realizing, maybe this whole trade your existence for monetary security under a malicious counterfeiting foreign occupation tax slave farm is not a good idea.
Yeah,
it's not a good idea. So I think that sentiment is really going to start taking off more and more, and hopefully it holds all the different power structures, regardless of political affiliation, and holds their feet to the fire. Which is really kind of what our outfit has always been, is to just, in our own little way, fan the flames.
Fan the flames. Yeah, take note, guys, of your local daycare centers and just be on the lookout.
Everywhere you look, man.
Everywhere you look, man. Like that, it's scratching the surface. Me and Xavier connected over the fluoride issue. I had no idea it would lead to what it's led to. That in and itself is a huge fraud.
Huge fraud. That's in the dozens of trillions in itself.
Unbelievable degradation of devaluation of the country's assets, which you could argue is our intellects.
Yeah.
Unbelievable crimes. That's why, I joke, but kind of not joke about reparations, because like, I mean, what's been stolen about, forget about 200 years ago. Let's talk about the last 50. I mean, my God, like our intellects, if our IQ's been reduced, I mean, man, you better pay my rent. Like, fuck. So, like, why am I footing the bill for some Somalis over here when I already have to fund my own kids' education, because the shit that I'm forced to pay for, the public education, is so shit I would never put my kid in it.
Right.
Like, oh my God, it's
I know,
just
man.
unbelievable. We need a tax revolt. We need people to stop being cowards and about
grow a damn spine.
Yeah, like fucking
call it
whatever station you're at. Like, you may not file, you may not have to file, you may file, like whatever the case may be. Like, do some research and try to avoid funding your own destruction.
Seriously,
we had an episode.
It's at that point.
We had an episode years ago called "Financing Your Own Destruction." I think it was one of our band episodes. But like, I mean,
I think
that's for real. Like that.
We've been talking
about it for years and years, and it's like coming to a head for sure. So.
Yeah, it's definitely breaching public consciousness now. Finally, God, it's like, it feels like we've just been so early into the party. We've like drank all the punch, and we're like, is anyone else gonna?
Now people are showing up, and all the drink is gone. Like,
I know. It's like,
already,
did y'all bring your own? Did y'all BYOB? I mean, because we've been predicting this forever, and I mean, hopefully it manifests in more public outcry, more citizen journalism, more feet to the fire, public pressure, and then it'll probably force their hand. We have a huge creative, destructive, catalyzing event. Again, that could take any number of shapes and forms. But,
asteroids, aliens,
cyber attack, market crash, war declarations,
government shutdown. We had one of those recently.
And we're actually due for maybe another one here.
It won't be long, unless that imbecile in the head of the Fed, he doesn't keep printing. He needs to keep printing.
Exactly. We need interest rates lower. We got to keep these Ponzi housing prices aloft as long as possible, so I can maybe win the midterms before everything falls apart. I mean, that's what it seems like. It seems like everything is being angled towards a precipice. And yeah, man, great episode.
Cheers, y'all. Take care.
Cheers.